everyone, welcome to the after show. It has been a busy morning for sure, and our weather coverage continues this morning. So we're going to go out to Shelby Rose. She's been covering a lot of areas for us this morning, and right now she's in the Livingston area. How are things looking there?
Unfortunately, conditions have not improved at all. If anything, they probably have worsened with just how much rain we've gotten in just the last hour or so. And throughout this morning, what we've seen is that this flooding has impacted one of our major highways, Highway 59. It has been closed both directions since 7:30 this morning. So we're going on 2.5 hours now. I don't even want to know how far traffic is backed up. It's caused people to really get desperate. You can see right here, this semi truck is backing up on the opposite way on the on-ramp. And that's what we've seen a lot of cars go back up this way. We've seen semis trying to turn around on the bridge. It's really desperate times call for desperate measures out here because this rain is not letting up, forcing this major flooding on 59 and just all over Polk County. Really, emergency management officials are urging absolutely everyone in this area to stay home because it's not just 59 we're talking about. We're talking about so many major roads in this area that are impassable because of this crazy flooding that we're seeing, so much so that the emergency management department can't even keep up with how many roads that are flooded right now. And it's even impacted one of the subdivisions off of Highway 190, the Crystal Lake subdivision. We're told that one of the roads to get in there has been washed out. So now those homes are inaccessible at the moment while they try to figure out what they're going to do in that area. And, you know, as we're kind of waiting to see when this flash flooding threat will recede at least enough to make 59 open up again, it's not even just that we're talking about. This is long-term flooding, right? So the Trinity River and Lake Livingston, we've been talking about this all week since Monday when those mandatory evacuations were issued on those low-lying areas of Lake Livingston and the Trinity River. And that's just because of the rate at which they're releasing out of the dam because the river is just getting so inundated with water. It's now nearing 100,000 cubic feet per second this morning. So they issued that warning once again of that mandatory evacuation if you live along those low-lying areas of Lake Livingston and the Trinity River. Do what you can. Get out now because these conditions are only going to worsen. I mean, right now we're stuck in Livingston for the foreseeable future. We have no idea when we could even get out of here. And so it definitely is a situation that stay home if you can. Do not be out in this. Just wait it out, because you're going to come up on some impassable roads and you might even get stuck yourself. And of course, as we preach every single time it floods, it rains, turn around, don't drown. We came across some pretty high water on 59 hours ago. I can't even imagine what it is right now. So of course, guys, everyone just needs to be safe. Back to you.
And now, have folks been taking heed to those warnings? I don't know if you've seen a lot of people out and about, or has anyone gotten stuck? What else are you seeing?
So in terms of people getting stuck, we don't know because we're not at a vantage point to really see where the flooding on 59 is right here. Where we're looking at, the road is not flooded, but you know, this parking lot that we're next to a boot barn and a few other, there's just cars that are just straight up hanging out. If we can swing the camera, Ed, around to show like how many cars are just in this neighborhood, in this parking lot. You know, people, you know, they clearly did not know that it was going to turn into a situation like this. We've actually spoken to people who are trying to make their way to Memphis. There are people that are trying to make their way to Louisiana, and they're asking us, how do we get there? And we're like, just wait it out. Just stay put. Just be patient. Do not try to go any back roads or alternate routes because you never know what flooding you're going to come across.
Water. Thank you so much, Shelby. We certainly appreciate that. Get out of there and try to get dry if you can.
Yeah, stay safe.
And yeah, people are trying to stay safe, as you can see right there behind her. They're taking a very, very healthy approach and not going into the water unless they have to. They're seeing what other cars are doing. Allison is waiting and standing by to give us more.
And we are monitoring just a ton of rain. It has now engulfed pretty much the entire viewing area. So the view that you're seeing right here on our Fox Rad radar was where we had a severe thunderstorm warning. That expired about 7-8 minutes ago, but we're still seeing some of that heavy rain and a ton of lightning strikes. This is all happening just to the south of Liberty and Kendrick. You see Atascocita here, Roman Forest. Even though you are not in a warned area, that doesn't mean that we're not still seeing that blinding rain that's falling. Now, Shelby was out in Livingston, and you can see just how much rain is falling there. And there's a lot more that we are monitoring at the moment. So we're going to show you our hail detector. So what we are seeing is the chance for some small hail now making its way just to the south of South Dayton here and Mount Belleville. I do want to mention that I already had some folks reach out and share pictures in Atascocita of some, let's call it dime-sized hail that did fall. We were hearing reports up in Humble as well. That's likely what prompted that severe thunderstorm warning a bit earlier. But let's talk about how much rain we've seen. Now, most of the viewing area north of Houston is under a flash flood warning from anywhere from 10:30 this morning until about noon. The reason being, within the last 3 hours, we have seen more than 5 inches of rain fall. And spots from Splendora to the Roman Forest, you can see that are shaded in red here, potentially even higher amounts. And like we've been seeing on our Fox Red radar, there's even more rain expected. So some of these rain bands are dropping about inch, if not 2 inches of rain just within an hour, and in some spots even more. So we're looking from Conroe to the Woodland Spring. That's really the beltway that we have seen a lot of that rain fall over the last, 3 hours. But if we take you up further north over the last 12 hours, so since 10 o'clock last night, we've seen more than 9 inches of rain, and in some spots even higher totals. Now that's a little further north. We're talking New Waverly to Huntsville. We have Trinity here, Cold Spring, as well as Livingston. So these are the hot spots that we have been talking about all morning long that have seen a lot of reported rain, and that's where that flooding really is going to come into play. But here's a wider view of our radar. For reference, we have Atascocita, Houston, Galveston, which hasn't seen any rain yet, but I want to let you know it's coming. Some of those heavier rain bands up toward College Station to Navasota through the Woodlands and then out toward Beaumont. But if we continue to take you in, for reference, this is the Woodlands. I know that there's a lot going on this radar loop, but I just want to show you how much rain is falling, and it's very heavy. We have I-45 here, and basically that is through the center of where all of this action is taking place. Just north of Tomball, we're seeing it through Oakland and then out toward Magnolia. A lot of lightning associated with these showers and storms that are rolling through. Now that severe thunderstorm warning has ended at 10 o'clock, but we're looking at that heavy rain continuing out to the east as well and back toward Huntsville. And the interesting thing that we're seeing is some clearing well out to the west of our viewing area. But what we're seeing with these storms is what they call training. So they're going overhead, continues to rain. It continues to rain. So these folks that are feeling it, there's not much relief in sight. And unfortunately, with our latest forecast models, it doesn't look like we're going to be seeing really any relief for the next few hours. But I do want to take you south of Houston. We have Pasadena down toward Pearland. Well, you're probably getting your first rounds of rain that we have seen in the last several hours. No, it's not much, but we're likely going to see that start to shift off to the south. So we just ask, if there is that heavy rain overhead, that you just stay inside. It's not going to be safe to be out on the roadways. They're going to be slick. There's going to be a lot of people and traffic. You're not going to be able to go anywhere anyway. So if you can, stay inside until we do see some of this rain start to let up. And honestly, right now, things are not looking like that. We're continuing to monitor that flash flood risk, mainly north of the Woodlands, but that doesn't mean that we can't see that inching a little bit further south as well. So there's a lot going on that we're going to continue to monitor on our radar. We know that we have some reporters that have been out in the elements trying to stay safe from that heavy rain, the flooded roadways, as well as that lightning. So we're going to send it back to Nate and Denise.
You know what? She makes a very good point in that you need to stay in, because you know how we drive in Houston, especially when it rains, outlying areas. Got to be careful.
Oh yeah, we want to take extreme caution if you're going to be in any of those areas with that heavy rainfall. I mean, it's a mess. It's a mess out there, so really be careful.
Office of Emergency Management now.
Yes, we have Brent Taylor with us on the line with Houston Emergency Management. Good morning. Can you tell us the situation in the county right now? How are things looking?
Hi, good morning. So this is, again, we're looking at Flash flooding, just as the meteorologist said, you're going to have several inches across primarily the northern parts of the Houston and the Houston region. Coordinating with all of the, the first responders. We've got high water vehicles that are out and able to assist people if that's necessary. We're obviously monitoring the flood warning with the flood control district and all of those partners that we work so closely with during these kinds of incidents. The big message right now is stay out of it. Stay out of it. If you can be home or if you can be in your building, don't get out. Certainly don't drive if you can avoid it. It doesn't take much to float a vehicle. It can only be a couple inches of water in the road. If you cannot see the concrete or asphalt of the road underneath the water, then you cannot drive through it. Stay away, wait for water to go down before trying to get through there.
Ask you a question in terms of people who are already in trouble. Is there a way possibly for them to call to get out of trouble, maybe seek some help from someone in the city, police force, fire?
Absolutely. Always call 911 when you're in a situation like that. That is an emergency, especially with the way that the waters are right now. So if you're out and you find yourself, unable to get to safety and you're surrounded by those waters, please do call 911. We have, like I said, the fire department and the police department both have high water vehicles that are capable of getting in and getting people to safety. And I think back to during some of our other storms, Public Works has also they've outfitted dump trucks to be people movers when they needed to be, right? So we have the resources in the city. We're confident we have a good plan. And right now we just need people who are, to keep themselves in a safe position so that we're not having to get out and do those types of rescues. But we're urgent to do them when we need to.
Exactly. We hope they do just that. Stay home and stay safe. Again, Brent Taylor, Houston OEM. Thanks so much for speaking with us.
Thank you, Brent.
Y'all take care.
All right.
All right. Well, there are, of course, some shelters set up this morning. So, if you need somewhere to go, there are a lot of places you can turn to. So in Houston, New Faith Baptist Church is open. Yep. Also the Calvary Baptist Church in Cleveland, the Dunbar Gym in Polk County, and the San Jacinto Disaster Shelter in Cold Spring. Now, our Ruben has been out in Montgomery County in the Conroe area. It's been hit pretty hard there. So, Ruben, how are things looking now? Looks like you're getting a bit of a break.
Well, yeah, we have a little bit of good news, and if you guys have been with us on the after show for a few minutes, you saw Shelby kind of kicking it off and telling you how bad this severe weather actually is in her area. A little bit better situation here. Take a look right behind me, guys. We're at 105 at I-45 and 105, and we've been at this location for about 20 minutes. I will tell you that it was down to a drizzle a few minutes ago. And definitely not that hard, pounding, unrelenting rain that we've seen in so many parts of the viewing area, and that is continuing in the viewing area, causing all sorts of problems, from flooding to streets being blocked off, traffic, all sorts of bad weather scenarios this morning. We've seen a little bit of everything. We were in the River Plantation subdivision about an hour and a half ago. Road washed out there, impassable, with the water rising. And as we've been telling you all morning long, the storm has hit so hard, and what Allison said earlier, so much rain falling to the north of Houston in the last 12 hours, 9 inches, 10 inches in some area. Well, guess what? All of that water starts coming downstream, and that's when you have problems. All of that volume coming downstream and hitting the bayous and all of the, the water retention areas. But right here, again, in Montgomery County, in the Conroe area, it does appear to have, getting a little bit of a break, which is good news. Traffic is moving pretty smoothly. We saw Conroe police a little while earlier had a couple of streets, a couple of exits blocked off, just off the freeway that weren't affecting the actual freeway. They were exits into the neighborhoods. And they did have a couple of those low-lying areas blocked off for safety, even though there wasn't really any high water left there. So hopefully that opens up soon and we can get traffic and start flowing normally. But again, guys, up here where we are at 105, I-45 at 105 in Conroe, things looking a bit better, and hopefully this is going to be hopefully a situation that some of the harder hit areas will start seeing soon. But as Allison pointed out a little while ago, you're getting that kind of effect where the water just kind of parks over you and just keeps pounding you, unrelenting. So we're definitely going to keep an eye on it here for you guys. We're probably going to break down, start driving maybe a little bit south, because I think that there's heavier stuff back down towards the woodland. So hopefully we can give you a little, maybe a driving shot of what that looks like. But right now we're going to send it back to you guys.
All right, thank you, Ruben. I know exactly where you are. On 105 is Conroe High School, and I'm not sure what the situation is with those kids out there at the high school, but I can tell you this: where
down
he
the
is.
street, yeah.
Yeah, where he is, there's lots of rain, and of course, hey, be safe out there, Ruben. That's the most important thing, man. And try to get back safely.
Yeah, it's still looking a little busy on the road, so glad things have calmed down
105
there.
is going to be busy. It's like a 3 to 4 lane freeway, if you will, and so highway, if you will. So it goes right to Margaritaville, and so you want to be safe. All right, guys, got to take a break. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
Fox 26 is the Fox 26 YouTube page. Like and subscribe today.
All right, we are back with your weather coverage this morning. We're going to check in with Mike to get an update on some of these flash flood warnings. Where do things stand right now, Mike?
Well, we keep getting more and more of them, more warnings that are coming out. So let me get you up to date. First of all, look, first things first, this is not really getting any better. So if anything, it's going to be getting heavier for places like Cypress and Jersey Village and things like that. Or places like that, I should say. So one of the new warnings that we have that just came down is for this area over here from the Woodlands eastward. So this includes like Cleveland, Splendora, much of the eastern half of Montgomery County. That's a flash flood warning that's now been extended all the way until 1:30 this afternoon. And the National Weather Service says that 3 to 6 inches of rain have already fallen. An additional 1 to 2 inches of rain are possible in this area, so flash flooding is expected or is occurring. So obviously that's a concern as far as getting around on the roadways. Probably best to stay off of that. Elsewhere, we also do have several others. So across this portion of Montgomery County, let me zoom in on this one here for you. So this includes Pinehurst and Conroe in these spots, a flash flood warning in effect until 12:15. So that takes us another 2 hours here for the Conroe area. The really heavy stuff is beginning to shift here into northwest Harris County. So we're talking about, this is the area around, let's see, we have Becker Road, Bower Road, along FM 2920. So these are areas that are out there to the west of Tomball, just getting lit up with lightning right now. And all of this activity is moving toward Cypress. So far, there has hardly been anything from Houston southward. I mean, hardly anything. I do have the warnings turned on here. I might turn them off here just for a second because it's like overwhelming, right? So this is what it looks like without any of the watches or warnings turned on. And you can see we do have these little individual pockets of where the super heavy rain is located, like right here. That one's moving into Chambers County and Liberty County. Another one here making its way through Kingwood and Huffman in those spots. And then another one here stretching from Tomball back out to the south of Prairie View. So let me give you an idea here of some of the arrival times if you are watching us from, let's say, northwest Harris County. You can get an idea of how fast these things are traveling by just measuring it here. The last 30 minutes, it's gone about 13 miles. So, give or take, it's moving at about 25 to 30 miles per hour. Go ahead and pause this and check out what we are looking at as far as a arrival time for places. So if you live in Klein, we're looking for about 3 minutes from now, this heavier stuff to move back in. Of course, you've already had a lot of heavy stuff, but there in Klein, you can see the leading edge of that heavy stuff is about to move in. In Spring, about 6 minutes. The Bamel area, about 12. Aldine, about 26 minutes from now is what we're looking at for that. So again, let me take you on like a little tour of what we're seeing across the area right now, beginning with the heavy rain that's hitting there in the northern part of the county, northern part of Harris County. Let me take a closer look at this real quick, guys, because this is just kind of catching my eye. I want to put on, just want to make sure this isn't spinning. We did have a little bit of a rotation earlier in a cell that moved through Kingwood, and so I heard from my friend Stuart, who lives in Kingwood, and they had some trees down, and he was asking, was it a tornado? I said, well, not sure. It might have been a brief tornado, but that particular one was showing signs of rotation. And now this one here around Tomball, we can kind of toggle back and forth here between, this is like regular reflectivity. This is like what you're used to seeing. The green is light, the red is heavy. But we could also turn on velocity products. Not seeing a real strong circulation there, but I mean, it is possible that there's just a little bit of a circulation. It mainly just means that this is an intense thunderstorm. We see that a lot out of thunderstorms, but I just wanted to show you because we are watching these things real closely. Okay, so here's another view, and one of the concerns here is that this is all doing what these things very often do in Houston when we get flooding events, and that is it's sort of training over this location. We're kind of setting up this little train tracks there, stretching from Brenham to Prairie View to Spring, back over to Liberty, and most of the activity is affecting that area. Maybe we cheat this line down a little bit to include Highlands and Winnie and Mont Bellevue, but since it's all setting up along that area, we could also take a look at how much rain has fallen and how it's all setting up in that area here just over the last hour. So here's the observed precipitation. This is like a radar estimate of how much rain has fallen here. We'll set it to 1 hour. So over the last hour here, you'll see that again, this is all setting up right along this like that channel, you know, these two white lines that I drew. So this is over the last 1 hour. This is over the last 3 hours. And that's where we've had some of the heaviest, you know, accumulations. Like over here, this was in the New Caney area, just north of Kingwood. Look at that, about 5 inches of rain falling there. This was around Atascocita here, about 3.5 inches. I know Spring has had about 3 to 5 inches of rain, depending on exactly what street you're on. You know, give or take in that location, it was about 5.6. So, you know, keep in mind, the rain is still falling in these spots, right? So if I turn all this off and then go back to our radar, you know, the rain is still falling right there. So the same spots that have already gotten 5 inches of rain, you know, 4 or 5 inches of rain, if not more heavy rain is moving in. And as I shared with you a moment ago, this activity here might start to, it's going to be pushing in the general direction of Katy and Jersey Village and Cypress and those spots. So we may be looking at this stuff that's out there off to the west making its way in. If anything, it's, you know, in a way it's sort of a good thing, because, you know, if the whole mess starts to shift southward a little bit, at least it'll give a little bit of relief. Like, for example, we had, you know, earlier this morning, it was just non-stop raining up here in Huntsville. Now, it's still raining, but the rain has gotten lighter. Now, the damage is already done up there, don't get me wrong, but the main bulk of the rain has shifted off toward the south. This is really a very, very active thunderstorm right up here along 249 and the Grand Parkway area. That is probably really coming down in buckets. Let me just put that lightning back on. I mean, that is a lot of lightning. I can query this here for you real quick because I want to see how much lightning are we getting in that area. Let's check it out. So we'll select that, and we've had, let's see, 900 lightning strikes. And I believe this is over the last 30 minutes. 900 lightning strikes. That is a lot. They're divided too into what we call negative and positive strikes. When you have a high percentage of positive strikes, those are usually coming from the top of the cloud. And so they have to be stronger. They're actually like they carry more voltage and more power to make it all the way from the top of the cloud to the bottom of the cloud. So when you have more of those, it's generally indicating that those lightning strikes are going to be scarier, I think. Here's a broader view of the area, and you know, a lot of you have been watching us this morning from maybe down there around Santa Fe or Dickinson or Pearland, and you're wondering what the heck is going on because I'm not seeing anything. Well, it hasn't made it to your area yet. In fact, you might escape, you know, without really seeing that much. I know the weather's been pretty nice for you, but this is going to be a Harris County problem really for the next several hours, Montgomery County and Liberty County. And as we just take a look here quickly at your extended forecast here, and we're headed toward a pretty hot pattern here coming up by the weekend and early next week. But I'll just leave you by saying, try to stay off the roads if you can. They are going to become flooded in some locations north of the city of Houston, and we will have continuing coverage here on our digital platforms coming up after this.
Fox 26 is
Anonymous.
The Fox 26 YouTube page. Like and subscribe today.
Hey guys, welcome back to the After Show. We're obviously doing wall-to-wall weather coverage. Denise, I'm Nate, and I can tell you right now, lots of folks concerned about this. Looked at the text line just a moment ago. Shadon, one of our regular viewers, said that she had hail out where she lives, and I heard Allison talked about dime-sized hail. So there's lots of concerns, and speaking of concerns, there's some in Kingwood.
Yeah, that's right. We have some more heavy rainfall in that area, and that's where Chelsea Edwards is, I believe, stuck in traffic right now. What's going on? How's that looking in that area?
Yeah, we're right here off of Loop 494 and Kingwood Drive. We are watching people trying to navigate this high water right in front of us, right off of Kingwood Drive at the entrance of the livable forest. We see that some cars have stalled here in the high water. We've been watching people try to exit the vehicles and get out safely. We've also been looking at this SUV that Jeff had just zoomed in on. It looked like they got stuck in the mud. Maybe they were trying to hop the median, but it looked like they got stuck in the mud here. We're also looking at lots of tow trucks arriving here. We've even seen one of them try to go down the opposite side of the road, trying to avoid the high water, but it's high water on both sides of this Kingwood Drive. But yeah, it looks like traffic is at a standstill. I can tell you that. There is nowhere to go. Again, we're recommending that people follow instructions and not drive if they don't have to be out here. Kingwood is getting a lot of rain at this time. As it's been all morning, Mike Iskovich, he posted earlier about the rainfall rates being more than 3 inches an hour. And that's what we've been seeing the results of out here. Also hearing about flooding over off of 59 northbound at North Park, where there's a lot of construction going on in that area as well. We're hearing about cars getting flooded out there, more than 2 feet of water on that feeder road. So another area to avoid. Again, just flooded streets out here in Kingwood. Houston Fire Department, Houston Police, they're all working the area. They have their high water vehicles and other resources ready for rescue, but of course they do not want to have to do that. The Houston Fire Department already responded to 3 water rescue calls this morning because of motorists stranded in flooded vehicles. So they're trying to avoid having to continue to send these teams out to rescue people in situations like this. Thankfully, this water is not as high, so it looks like these people are able to get out safely and not have too many issues. I mean, we've just been seeing a lot of back and forth. So me and the photographer Jeff have been trying to figure out what exactly they're doing, where they're going. But I can tell you all the cars here are stuck. They are going nowhere down Kingwood Drive. So it's a matter of people trying to back out and find another way around to their destination. But again, the recommendation is not to get on these streets and definitely turn around, don't drown. Don't have to deal with this. Don't have to, figure out what to do with the flooded vehicle and wait for these tow trucks or, emergency officials to have to rescue you. But again, we've been driving around the Kingwood area looking for these spots that usually flood, and this is one of them. So Kingwood Drive and Loop 494, definitely an area to avoid. You are going nowhere if you come this way. Send it back to you guys.
The first things I see, number one, an 18-wheeler on the very left side where Jeff is shooting, it's stuck. And then you see the truck, it's stuck. It's going to be there for a while in the median. And then you got people out there. That's the high water, okay? That's the high water you're talking about. So definitely a tough situation out there on Kingwood Drive. I know exactly where she is, far, far away from here.
Yeah, Chelsea, stay safe. We do want to take a look at a truck fire right now. It's 18-wheeler that's on fire. This is courtesy of Houston Train.
On I-10 East.
All right, yeah, this is on I-10 East at John Ralston. There we go. Here's a look now. It looks like they're trying to put it out. I don't even see any flames at the moment. We're just looking at some smoke, but you can see the traffic is impacted there. All the main lanes are just pretty much blocked off, and people are just going off to the side. They're off to the left. But yeah, an 18-wheeler apparently caught fire. We don't have many details as to how that even started. But again, this is I-10 East at John Ralston, just in case you are out and about or planning to head towards that area. But we'll keep you updated. Right now, though, we want to go to a phoner here with Andrew Yowsey with the city of Conroe. Good morning. I know Lake Conroe has been temporarily closed. Any updates that you can provide to us at this hour?
Hi, good morning. We don't have any other updates than our number one priority right now is to make sure that the residents of Conroe and anyone in the surrounding areas is staying safe. But we do want to point out that anyone south of the Conroe Dam, we're going to recommend that they search for or seek higher ground or seek shelter, because we're projecting imminent flooding in that area south of the Lake Conroe Dam.
How about schools? Are schools closed out there, Andrew, or have you had a chance to even talk with some of the school officials?
I have not had a chance to speak with the school officials, but just before we came on this interview, we had discussed a plan to reach out to CISD, see what their recommendations were, and as soon as we get those recommendations, we'll start distributing that information across our social media channels.
Last thing, Lake Conroe, it can be ominous looking, especially when you have bad weather out there. I was out there Sunday, and I saw something I hope I never see again. Can you talk about what's going on out there with Lake Conroe and the dam?
I don't know what you saw. We know there's an alligator in there. I don't, right now, I don't have all the details as far as what the SJRA's plans are for Lake Conroe, but we do know that this area is prone to flooding, and our residents, we're used to that by now. They kind of know what's going to happen when it's raining. What our priority is to make sure that we've had tremendous growth in the last year, so we have a lot of new people moving into this area, and what we want to make sure they know is that this area does experience flooding during situations like this. So it's not just a flash flood, that there are reasons to be concerned, and what we want to make sure everyone knows is that if you don't need to be on the road, especially around Lake Conroe, now's not the time to go out. If you can stay home, stay off the roads.
That's right. And again, anyone south of the dam, be sure to seek shelter. Andrew, thank you so much for speaking with us this morning.
Thank you both. I appreciate it.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and check in with Allison so we can get an update on a few other things. Good morning.
Well, we're just seeing so much rain. I actually keep going back and looking at some of the rain gauges that we have across the viewing area. And within the last 3 hours, we've seen upwards of 6 inches of rain, and that's on top of what we've already been seeing throughout the overnight hours. So here's a look at our radar. You can see where these bands of rain are setting up all the way out west toward Bastrop and into Brenham, then making its way into Cypress Tomball. That's actually some of the heaviest rain that we're seeing right now, and I'll get to that in just a moment. But take a look through Liberty and then all the way out toward Port Arthur and into Beaumont. You can see not much is happening through the Houston Metro inside the Loop and points south, but don't rule out the chance to see some of that rain as we do get a little bit closer. So here we go. If we can get this to zoom in a little bit, we're actually going to monitor some of that heavy rain starting to push in. I'm just going to step off camera and show you here. Take a look at Tomball to Charterwood. This is 249. We're seeing a lot of lightning moving in, about 81 strikes extending from Cypress through Tomball, Klein, into the Woodlands, and even into Spring. But if we take you out to some of our rainfall totals, this is just within the last 3 hours. And if I actually take off our lightning count here, you can see just how much rain has fallen. Tomball, there you go, 4.9. Porter Heights, right around 5 inches of rain. Spring, a similar story, 5.5 out in Northampton, and Porter about 4.3. So it's really this area extending from right around 290 and all the way to Roman Forest, past Splendora into Atascocita is where we are seeing some of that very heavy rain. But I do want to talk about our hail threat. Now, things have really started to improve, at least through the Woodlands, Spring, Atascocita, but out toward I-10, Monroe City, I mean, we're monitoring the chance for some small hail, about 1 inch hail. So I'd say Less than about a quarter sized, but we have had several reports, even some folks messaging me on Twitter saying, hey, Atascocita, I saw that hail earlier. So we're not ruling it out, especially this area here, Cypress to Klein Spring, the south side of the Woodlands. We're going to be watching that for you closely. But if we take you back to reflectivity, and let's just go city by city so that you know exactly what you can expect. So we have New Waverly right here and Huntsville. Huntsville, you're at the top of the screen, and honestly, you're seeing a bit of relief right now. That doesn't mean that not more rain is on the way, but at least you can take a breath, but make sure you're keeping an eye out for any of that lightning. Willis, and as we go down toward Conroe, take a look at the heavy rain. You can see these bands of red and yellow. That's when we're going to be seeing rainfall rates. And let me just grab those for you. Looks like Conroe, you're only at about maybe an inch per hour, but down as you're heading toward the Woodlands on 45, here we go. You could be seeing 4.5 inches of rain per hour. Now, does that mean that you'll see all of that at one time? Well, potentially, but more likely going to be seeing a few inches. But all of these purples out toward Hockley, into Cypress, Humble, Atascocita, all the way out to Hidden Echoes and even into Dayton. These are going to be some of the pockets of that heavy rain that we're watching for you closely. Now, channel view, if we take you down just a bit closer to Houston, you can see some isolated showers possible through the heights, but really it looks like channel view to Brownwood there really is where we're seeing some of these isolated showers moving in. As far south as Galveston to Freeport, honestly, we're really not seeing much at this time. But I'm going to step back on camera just so I can point out what we are seeing with our flash flood warnings, meaning these areas have already seen 3 to 6, if not more, inches of rain within the last several hours, and potentially more is on the way. So it's going to be all of these polygons that you see that are in this seafoam green color. I know there's a lot going on in the radar, but that's pretty much going to be Montgomery County and off to the north, including Huntsville, Livingston. So if you are within any of these counties and cities that we have been mentioning throughout the morning, it's just best to stay inside. We always say turn around, don't drown, and we truly mean it. We want to make sure that everybody is staying safe, and these flooded roadways are not something you want to drive through. Just a little bit of water can sweep away a car, and the thing is, because it's so gloomy, because we are seeing some of this heavy rain, it's difficult to even see what's in front of you, let alone to see how deep the water actually is. So it's just best to stay put. I know that it doesn't look like there's a lot of relief coming, and honestly, we're going to be seeing much more rain come, especially and actually now as I say that, it looks like a severe thunderstorm warning just popped up. This is going to include Harris County, just to the south of Cypress, Jersey Village, and Fairbanks. I actually have some info from the National Weather Service on one of my other computers. And so what they're saying is that the main weather threats within this are going to be the winds. So yes, hail was something that we were watching for some of our other severe thunderstorm warnings, but I'd say winds really starting to pick up from Cypress to Spring, and that's going to be moving toward Jersey Village and then inching closer to town. So make sure you stick with us here at Fox 26, and we're going to bring you all the latest updates. Again, stay safe and don't drive through any of those flooded roadways.
Somebody
Absolutely,
asked a
because some of the
on Facebook about Conroe and when it was going to clear up. And per Allison, it looks like it may clear up tomorrow.
Yeah, so just stay safe on the roads because we do have some slick roads. Take a look at this. We have another traffic alert. This is going to cause some major delays here. This is at the East Tex Freeway and East Mount Houston. So just a heads up, please, again, stay inside if you can, because we've been seeing a lot of accidents this morning. You can see emergency crews there on the scene working to clear that, but it's probably going to take some time for sure. All those lanes impacted, as you can see, but just take your time, take it easy on these wet roads this morning if you do have to get out. Keep it here. We'll be right back.
Fox 26 is The Fox 26 YouTube page. Like and subscribe today.
All right, we want to get a look at the conditions in Livingston. We've been checking in with Shelby Rose all morning long. I know there was a lot of heavy rainfall, but it looks like you finally catching a break.
Yes, thankfully the rain has let up, at least for now, but the situation on 59 has not improved literally whatsoever. The whole highway on both directions is still completely closed in Livingston. These motorists have been stranded here now for more than 3 hours. A lot of people, though, have ditched out and they've went backwards onto the feeder ramp and gotten out, and a lot of them are waiting here in a parking lot that's right next to us. But the flooding on 59 has definitely made it incredibly impassable, and unfortunately it is the same situation all over Polk County. We have so many roads and highways in this area that have been inundated with water, flooded out, completely impassable. Even in the Crystal Lake subdivision, which is off of Highway 190, one of their roads got washed out, and now that subdivision is completely inaccessible to those residents. So we do really have a very sticky situation. We have no idea when we could even see Highway 59 open back up so that people can start moving in both directions. I don't even want to guess how far backed up the highway is at this point, considering it has been closed for more than 3 hours at this point. When we were driving up here about 3 hours ago, we were coming up on the 59 that was nearly impassable, water at least a foot deep, and it was definitely a sketchy situation for us as we were driving in here. So I can't imagine what it is now, especially considering we got so much rain here in the last couple hours. But it's not just the roadways that we're talking about. A huge concern is Lake Livingston and the Trinity River, just with how much rain we've gotten this morning. I've been kind of keeping an eye on the Trinity River Authority to try to see what the releases are like, what the lake levels are like on Lake Livingston. And the last time I checked was around 7:15 this morning, and they were releasing about 90,000 cubic feet per second. The lake level was at 113 feet. Well, guess what? I just checked. The lake levels in Lake Livingston have risen 20 feet. It is now 133 feet, and they've increased the release out of the dam to nearly 110,000 cubic feet per second. And so officials have been continuously warning residents again today. They issued that mandatory evacuation to those low-lying areas around Lake Livingston as well as the Trinity River to evacuate. That was on Monday. Now we're here, and they're reiterating again, just because of this rain, to get out, make a plan, try to get to a safe area. We do have shelters all over this area that are open, which includes the Dunbar Gym. That is what the residents along Lake Livingston are utilizing as a temporary shelter. And so right now it is just a waiting game. So many people out here are just sitting around. We're all sitting ducks here. I mean, even us, we're stuck in Livingston for the foreseeable future, wondering when we can get out of here. But the message is the same. Don't try. People have been asking us, what are some alternate routes? Can we take all of these other different roads? No. Absolutely not. You don't know what roads you're going to come off that are impassable. You might get stuck there. It's best just to wait it out. And so, yeah, we're all kind of in the same boat here. Back to you.
Oh, what a nightmare. I hate
really,
to
really
see that. But Shelby, thank you so much for your great reporting and keeping everyone updated. We appreciate that. All right now we want to check in with Allison about all this heavy rainfall that we've been getting and the flood warnings that continue.
Flash flood warnings are going to continue until at least 12 o'clock. That's when our extended coverage is going to go through, and then we have our noon show. So we're with you throughout the entirety of this very heavy rain event. But I want to take you out to our severe thunderstorm warning. This is in Harris County until 11 o'clock, so about 5 more minutes. We're seeing some gusty winds. Now, they actually could be gusting up to about 50, potentially even higher miles per hour. I'm not necessarily seeing that at this moment, but we do see this continue a little bit closer to Jersey Village as we head throughout, well, the next, like I mentioned, few minutes. But hail is also going to be a possibility, potentially dime-sized hail embedded within some of these stronger storms. But as we do, this is the line that we're watching closely, track it out for you. It's going to move into Spring Valley in about 10 minutes, Rice Military in about 13, Memorial Park in 15, and Houston within about, let's say, the next 20 to 25 minutes. Again, that's if it holds. What we've been seeing with these is that they're very slow moving, so maybe a little bit of that extra time. But we're seeing that heavy rain from Spring out to Porter Heights, even into Humble, Atascocita, also a lot of lightning strikes. And some of these areas that are showing this purple color, it's our rainfall rate, meaning how much rain is coming out of these storms within an hour. Anywhere from 2 to 6 inches possible. And with these slow moving cells, we could be seeing a lot of that rain in a very, very short amount of time. So I want to take you on the tour of the radar as we continue out to the east. We are looking at some spots that are seeing that heavy rain just to the north of I-10. And on the other side, from Hempstead to Bellevue there, just north of Sealy and even north of Katy. Not only is it that blinding rain to drive through, but also the frequent lightning strikes and even some strong winds. Does look like we are seeing some very light rain from Huntsville to New Waverly and Livingston, so folks can see the potential damage to their property. But make sure you stick with us. We have another hour of weather coverage. You have all of us here in studio and then all of our reporters that are out in the elements. We'll be right back.
Fox 26 is
posters of innocent people held hostage. We witnessed our classmates shamelessly call for our deaths right in front of us. And over the past month, we've watched as campuses across the country descend into chaos. Students at this country's finest universities have rallied around Hamas. They've stalked, harassed, and assaulted Jewish students, whose only crime was to wear a Star of David necklace. No more. I refuse, we refuse to stand idly by while we are attacked. We know that we must speak up as Jews, Israelis, and Americans. We must fight day in and day out for our right to be. Students, stand strong. Stand against anti-Semitism on your campus. Call on your administrators to urgently address it and condemn violence.
Okay. Good morning! Thank you, everyone, for being here. For those of you who don't know who I am, I'm Meredith Weisel. I'm the ADL Regional Director here in our nation's capital.
Hello, everyone. I'm Keith Landry. Welcome to Live Now from Fox. 12:01 on the East Coast, 9:01 out west. Lots to tell you about today, coast to coast and around the world. We have been following the protests in college campuses all across America for the last 2 weeks. Some 1,600 arrests made so far at 30 different college campuses. Out west, UCLA becoming the epicenter of this last night as the California Highway Patrol broke up the camp intentments there and arrested more than 100 people. Right now, we're going to join our team coverage from our cohorts out in Fox 11 LA. Let's listen into what they've got to say.
Kind of barricading this area for about 7 days for this encampment. And then early this morning at around 3 a.m., this really all started to kick.
Some new activity down there. So that's something else. We put this in motion, and this is why we have the warning. So right now it's making its way, let's see, Antoine, look, it's crossing Interstate 10 here too. So really from around Spring Valley, the Memorial Villages, out to Katy, that's an area where there could be some winds, you know, maybe 50 to 60 miles an hour. And it was this area right here, Jersey Village, back over to the north side of Houston, where it looked like the radar was indicating, you know, maybe potential for like 70 mile per hour winds, at least up there at the cloud level. In addition, tons and tons of lightning, and that's going to be making its way closer to downtown Houston too. So that's just one of the things that we're watching right now. We also have so many advisories that are in effect to let you know that flooding is a threat. So we have a flash flood warning. That's in effect until noon at least, and I can almost guarantee this is going to be extended. But this flash flood warning continues for Tomball, for Spring, for the Humble and Kingwood area, and that's going to be with us until noontime today. We also have a flash flood warning for places like Cold Spring, Livingston. I mean, look, we just heard a little while ago from Shelby Rose, who is stuck up there in Livingston and under a flash flood warning until 1 p.m. up there in the Livingston area. You know, we've also had some really high water levels around the Woodlands and Spring, and I want to share with you some of the, I was just looking at all of the rainfall totals and kind of put this together as a list for you. So over the last 3 hours, Atascocita has picked up 5.5 inches of rain. The Woodlands, specifically in the Grogan's Mill part of the Woodlands, 7.2 inches of rain in the last 3 hours. Porter Heights, that's there to the north of Kingwood, 5.8, roughly almost 6 inches of rain. Tomball has had about 4.5, 4 3/4 of rain in the last 3 hours. And Lake Houston Park, which is north of Huffman, and it's sort of at the Harris County, Montgomery County line there north of Lake Houston, 6.16 inches of rain. When we look at 24-hour rainfall totals, it gets even wilder because these are just some huge totals here that I want to share with you. Hold on just a second. Here we go. So this is 24 hours, and up to the north of Lake Livingston, a foot. I mean, we could round that up, 11.96, a foot of rain over the last 24 hours. Huntsville's had 10 inches of rain over the last 24 hours. Cold Spring, about 9.25 inches. Caney Creek, that runs all across Montgomery County, but this is upstream from Lake Conroe, north of the town of Montgomery, 10.5 inches of rain. And the Woodlands has had about 8.1 inches of rain falling there over the last 24 hours. And of course, it continues to come down. So here's another look at what we're seeing. Now, the computer's running a little slow on me, but here's another look at what we're seeing here with that area of severe weather that is moving right toward downtown Houston. That severe thunderstorm warning is in effect until 11:45. And some of the places that are in the path include, of course, Houston, downtown Houston itself, Medical Center, Galleria, Meyerland, all those locations, Missouri City, Pasadena, and Pearland. And given this system's current speed, I'm going to give you an estimate here as to some arrival times, you know, where this thing is headed. So I'll take the leading edge here and move it in the direction that it's headed. And we're looking at it approaching Alief basically now, within the next minute or so. About 9 minutes to downtown Houston, about 13 minutes to Sugar Land, 23 minutes there, the southern part of Sugar Land and Greatwood. It also could make it to Pasadena in about 25 minutes from now. So basically over the next 30 minutes, we're looking at this wave of heavy rain moving from the west and northwest side of Harris County down toward Fort Bend and maybe even as far south as Brazoria County, coming up in about 30 minutes. So yeah, this is rough stuff. We can check this out too. This is what we call rainfall rate. And the higher the rainfall rate is, the greater the potential is for flooding, the faster the streets are going to flood. So when you see these bright, bright white colors and pink colors, those are obviously extremely high rainfall rates. And so generally anything more than 2 inches per hour is going to cause some street flooding. And we could zoom in here on this area. This is the North Freeway at Aldine Bender, for example. And there's an area up here between Veterans Memorial and near Kirkendall. And that is coming down at about 2.5 inches of rain per hour. So like I said, about 2 inches of rain per hour generally causes street flooding. And that's what we're seeing there now on the north side of Houston. Also, same thing over here. This is Eldridge, just north of the Katy Freeway. And I think we're going to see the same thing, about 2.5 inches of rain per hour here, 2.13. So yeah, that's going to cause some street flooding for you. And, you know, like we've been advising you all morning long, it's best to just stay off the roadways if you can, because it's so heavy and comes down just so fast. You're not going to have that much time to, to react to it, and you're going to end up getting stuck somewhere. Now, I also want you to notice how warm it is to the south. So Sugar Land is 80 degrees right now, lots of humidity. And you'll notice here this little green line to the north. You see where the north of Sugar Land is located there, the north of that number right here. And it's moving down to the south like that. So it's going to be encountering really warm, really humid air, which could lead to the formation of some new thunderstorms down into Fort Bend and maybe Brazoria. So definitely something for us to watch there. Just a reminder that the rest of the area from Harris County northward is also under a flood watch, and that's with us through 1 p.m. tomorrow. And we could take a look at some of the latest futurecasts because the models have been struggling mightily with this system. And so it's really hard when they all sort of fall apart like this, to be honest with you. But this is our HRRR model, which seems to be doing okay with the current position of the rain. I wouldn't say it's doing fantastic, but it is sort of approximating where everything is. And it is showing as we head toward 1:30, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, that like I mentioned about Fort Bend and Brazoria County, that this action might sort of stall there for a little while, you know, during the 1 and 2 o'clock hour. And then it actually shows it dissipating, oddly enough, before maybe redeveloping heading into tomorrow. But for the time being, I would say, you know, you got to stay off the roadways here around the city of Houston and Harris County. And then just keep in mind, after school time, there could be some flooded roadways even around Pearland and Sugar Land. Here's a look at the futurecast rainfall heading into this afternoon. And notice how it does shift. The additional rain across Fort Bend, southern Harris County, and heading back over to around Pearland and the Space Center. And the red indicates about 2 to 3 inches of rain. Checking in here with our National Weather Service graphic, this is what's called the excessive rainfall outlook, and it shows us the highest likelihood for seeing flooding, and it is in the obvious locations, right, where we know that the flooding is taking place right now. So, you know, it's definitely the area up there that I pointed out, you know, the Woodlands and Kingwood and those spots seeing it really badly right now, and then points northward. Well, what are we expecting over the next few days? Well, it should be getting gradually better. It should be getting a little bit better as we head into the weekend, and probably even tomorrow. There are some scattered storms in the forecast possible tomorrow. But taking a look at the weekend and beyond, we are looking for some hot, humid weather ahead. In the meantime, guys, you know, I can't really stress this enough, that if you don't have to be out on the roads in Katy, in Tomball, in Spring, in Kingwood, even around downtown Houston, you know, a lot of people are probably getting ready for a lunch rush, you know, leave work downtown and go eat lunch. I would call your significant other, your friends, family who work downtown, and advise them it's probably not a good idea to get in the car and drive anywhere, you know, to go grab lunch. You got to hit one of those underground tunnels or something, because this you do not want to mess with. So that's the latest. Harris County is going to be taking the brunt of it here in the short term, and then taking a look at around the 12 o'clock hour, 1 o'clock hour, maybe Fort Bend and Brazoria County. So I'm going to throw it back to you guys, because I know we have a lot of crews out in the field who are probably in the thick of this right now. I just hope that everybody stays safe, both our own people and then, of course, all the folks that are out there watching us right now on Fox Local.
All right, thank you, Mike. You guys are doing a phenomenal job, you and Allison, and we certainly appreciate that. DeLon Dillard sitting next to me. And I just got some video from a gentleman by the name of Matthew Shaw, who is near Livingston. And I am trying to send it now to our executive producer so that they can get it on the air. Shocking, man. There's so much water out there in that area. You do nothing but stay at home.
Yeah.
Do nothing but stay at home.
That would really be best. I mean, and we've been telling you guys all morning, especially the northern suburbs that have really been getting pounded with rain nonstop all morning. And this is also really, as you just heard Mike there say, is really starting to even impact the Houston area as we come in closer to the city. Even as I'm pulling up X here, Sheriff Ed Gonzalez just tweeted that Harris County deputies are conducting a water rescue. This is near the 2600 block, or the 2600 North Grand Parkway West. I'm trying to figure out where exactly that is in Harris County.
North Grand Parkway West?
This is North Harris County.
Yeah, that's out. That's got to be out there near Humboldt, Conroe area.
Yeah.
Somewhere in that area. Kingwood, I know they've had 3, as we mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
Sam Pena, Fire Chief Sam Pena, did tweet that out. Also, 3 water rescues.
Yeah.
So you got to really be careful. The water's really thick in that area, as well as the area we just told you about.
Let's bring in here Brian Murray. He's the Harris County Deputy Emergency Management Coordinator here. He's on the phone with us. Can you hear us, sir?
Yes, sir, I can.
Thanks for sparing a couple of minutes to speak with us. So I know there's a lot happening in North Harris County specifically. Any update you can give us at this hour when it comes to water rescues and everything you're seeing right now?
You know, I don't have numbers on water rescues right now. I think they're, we're looking to develop those for later. I think, listening to Mike's forecast, I think you get an idea of this is becoming a regional event. Certainly we have the rain that's passing through Harris County right now. It's presenting some dangers. We're also looking down a little bit through the weekend, and the water that's going to come from the Lake Conroe, Lake Livingston areas are going to create some more problems on the East Fork of the San Jacinto River, as well as now the West Fork. So, our focus right now is, the immediate issues that are being caused by today's rain, but also, just as importantly, what we could see over the next couple of days in additional flooding in the downstream areas.
What is your message to people who may want to head out, people who may be out right now, just say they had to go to work, whatever it may be? What should drivers in Harris County, North Harris County especially, what do they need to know right now?
I think the most important thing that any driver can do today is to stay out of the water. Driving into floodwaters is the single biggest cause of death during a flood. It is dangerous, and in doing so, not only are you putting yourself in danger, but you're potentially endangering first responders who may be called on to rescue you. You just mentioned that the sheriff is, mentioned on social media that he's doing water rescues. I think he'd rather not be doing that. So staying out of the water is a good way to help make that happen.
In Houston proper, is the water still manageable? Not really here just yet?
I haven't heard any reports of high water in Houston proper. And there may be some things I don't know about, but by and large in Harris County, the only area we've been worried about right now is on that East Fork of the San Jacinto. That's been the last couple of days. But I know we're starting to see some issues in areas along the northern part of the county. But I'm not sure what what that's going to look like tomorrow when we start getting the additional water that's coming downstream.
Yeah, because this is going to be really a multi-day issue as this water comes down. We're dealing with this right now, but then when you look into Friday, Saturday, when the water even comes downstream, we're going to still be talking about issues for the next few days.
Yeah, so right now our office is making plans to have our emergency operations center active through Monday. And if we can, cut that off earlier, great. But right now we are looking at this as a multi-day event where we may have, unfortunately, we're going to have some work to do.
Yeah.
So what happens is the water comes down and grows, if you will, buckets, and all of a sudden you see this big rush of water. Can you kind of tell people what they can expect? And I know you've done this already, but tell people what they can expect. Sort of drive the issue here so that people understand. Don't get out in this water if you don't have to.
So, obviously, I'm looking outside my office at Houston Transtar, and it looks like it's 7 o'clock at night, and it's raining. And I think that's what we're going to, see at least through today. The big danger is going to come as this water that's been building up on Lake Conroe and in the river basins starts coming downstream. You're basically going to see fast-moving, fast-rising water. This is like standing at the beach and having wave after wave after wave lapping at you. It takes less than 2 feet of water to sweep a car off the roadway.
Wow.
So you can only imagine what it takes to take a human. And unfortunately, once you get caught in that moving water, rescue is very, very challenging. So, again, I think staying out of the water, whether that's in a car, whether that's on foot, is the smartest thing you can do. I heard some reports of some folks in bathing suits out in the water yesterday and the day before. And, I know, but, this is not playtime. There are things in that water that you don't need to be exposed to, whether that's debris or reptiles or, other wildlife, not to mention, whatever chemicals may be there. Floodwater is not for play.
Thanks for putting it mildly, Brian.
Yeah. Brian Murray with the Harris County Deputy Emergency Management. We appreciate you so much for all of this, and we're hoping our viewers definitely heed your warnings.
Well, thank you for helping get those warnings out.
Yeah, as you heard him say there, you're not only putting yourself in danger when you head out, if you don't have to head out, you're also putting first responders in danger, because then they have to come out, find you, and help you if they can. So.
Yeah, you know, I think we've actually covered a lot of these things, especially, you know, with hurricanes. You know, you saw what happened here a few years ago. And so the last thing you want to do is get caught in one of those water rushes where they take you down. Oh man, it's just an awful thing. And yeah, you don't need to be in the water in a sunbathing outfit or whatever, a bathing suit, especially these kinds of waters, because he mentioned reptiles. I'm glad he said it as mildly as he did.
Yeah, that's real.
Some bad things can happen.
Yeah. Okay, let's head to break here. We're going to reset for a second. We'll be right back with much more after this.
Fox 26 is
Anonymous.
the Fox 26 YouTube page. Like and subscribe today.
I know really during our coverage this morning, we've been talking a lot about Montgomery County. Even specifically, I-45, a lot of, even when I'm looking at Houston TransStar right now, there's a lot of high water locations right here on TransStar. Ruben Dominguez is there right now. He's on I-45 in the Woodlands. What are you seeing right now?
Yes, sir. We just had to pull over, guys, because we're trying to set up. We were going to give you a driving shot here, but we pulled over because we got over to a situation that is it's bad news for motorists out here in the Woodlands. Let's just put it that way. Traffic very heavy on 45 if you are headed, if you're trying to leave the Woodlands and go south. Not really advisable right now. I mean, we've been saying it over and over and over again. The rain is definitely picking up, getting stronger, and 45 is actually crawling. To the right of your screen, you can see high water. Normally, that would be a feeder street that would be passable, that traffic would be moving smoothly. Because of the high water there, vehicles are trying to turn around and find another way. And just north of where we are, you are facing southbound. This is southbound on 45, headed to 99. What you're seeing here is the backup, because the further south you go, there's a line of those storms moving through really, really heavy and causing traffic to slow down to a crawl. Just over here to the right of the screen, if you can see that, that's where all that heavy water is on the feeder. Behind you can't see it and we can't show it to you, unfortunately, because of our position. But behind us, very, very, very heavy water. And you can see a car that is stalled out over there in the corner right in front of that restaurant, in between that restaurant and that shopping center. The last time, a couple of years ago, that we had a very serious flood situation, I was actually at this very same spot, and cars were probably 10 cars flooded out right in that street. Some people trying to push a vehicle, and the water was just so high that was impossible. You know, again, we keep repeating this. I know some folks have to be on the road. It's either the job or whatever they have to do, and they do not have a choice. You have to be super, super careful and expect that there will be delays, because unfortunately, as Allison and Mike have been telling you all morning long, all of this area is just being pounded. And all of that rain has to go somewhere. And unfortunately, it's going to flood these ditches. It's going to flood these feeder roads. It's going to cause ponding on the roadways. It's going to make traffic slow down to a crawl. And unfortunately, in a lot of situations where folks, maybe they're not accustomed to driving in this weather, maybe they're new to the Houston area, or maybe they just decided, we'll just take a chance. And we've just seen a ton of flooded vehicles in the Woodlands. Just in this last stretch of quarter mile here between Graham Parkway and Woodlands Parkway, we've probably seen 20 vehicles flooded out. Traffic on the feeder road backed up for a solid quarter mile or so due to all of this heavy rain and the flooded side streets. So again, this is a very dangerous situation. Guys, if you don't have to leave the house, definitely stay put until this hopefully can blow over. All right, back to you guys in the studio.
All right, sounds like he's just a little bit past the Beltway right there, the Grand Parkway, where you exit off of 45 from the Woodlands. So, yeah.
Yeah, 45 right there, boy. Has been a mess. I mean, north-southbound, wherever you're at on 45, it's really been a mess all morning in the northern suburbs. So, again, we're going to continue our coverage throughout this afternoon going into the 12 o'clock hour. We're actually going to switch things up. We'll be on air. If you're watching this live right now on the Fox Local app or on your Fox 26 app, you can continue to watch regardless, but we'll be on air starting at 11:30 all the way through our noon newscast until 12:30. So we'll wrap things up here, and then we'll be right back in just a couple of minutes to continue our live team coverage. Keep it right here.
Fox 26 is
Anonymous.
The Fox 26 YouTube page. Like and subscribe today.
It's 11:30 here on this Thursday. I'm DeLon Dillard, stepping into your regularly scheduled programming. We have been following some major wild weather throughout our viewing area, especially in the northern suburbs. A lot of flooding, a lot of wild weather, and even water rescues. Let's get right over to Chief Meteorologist Mike Iskovitz and also Allison Gargaro. Both of you have been tracking this throughout the morning, and unfortunately, we have not stopped when it comes to this rain just yet.
No, and you know what? It's still getting worse in some spots. Okay, so right now we are tracking a severe thunderstorm warning in Harris County and a lot of places. You see each one of these areas that's outlined in green. All of those are flash flood watches that are in effect. I do have some information here from the National Weather Service just to give you an idea of how much rain has already fallen today. These are 24-hour rainfall totals. Baytown, you've had 9.4 inches of rain in the last day. 9.4 inches of rain. Tomball, 7.7 inches. Kingwood, 6.5. Willis has had just shy of 11 inches of rain. 8 inches in Spring, about 6.5 inches in Splendora. And one of the hardest hit spots, Huntsville, 12.5 inches of rain in the last 24 hours. So widespread flooding and street flooding taking place up there in that part of southeast Texas. However, one of the concerns we have here right now, is that the rain is heading a little bit closer to areas even south of Houston. I don't know why that's not working for me for some reason. Oh, I was hitting the wrong button. That's my fault. Sorry about that, guy. It's been a long day. So here we go. Here's the city of Houston, where we do have a severe thunderstorm coming through. So what are we talking about here? We're talking about winds. Winds that could be maybe 50 miles per hour, 60 miles per hour. We were tracking this with our velocity product on the radar, and some of the raindrops at cloud level were at about 75 miles per hour. So sometimes that transfers down to the ground. And in fact, we can see right here, if you look really closely, you're going to see that little line that we call an outflow boundary, and you're going to feel that wind switch on you in Rosenberg. You're going to have this whoosh of wind come in. The temperature is going to drop about 12 degrees. But as all of this leads ahead, it's opening up the possibility for some more storms to form down into Fort Bend County and Brazoria County. So right now, there is downtown Houston, and that's where we have some of the heaviest rain coming in right now. So moving past the Acres Homes area, the Heights, and right here into Edo, and over here to around the Galleria, southward to West U. All of these spots looking to get probably a quick 3 inches of rain. The rainfall rates here have been about 2 to 2.5 inches of rain per hour. So if this hangs around for an hour, you're looking at 2.5 inches. In all, probably about 2 to 3 widespread, with some spots getting a little bit more than that. So this is now becoming a little bit more of a Harris County issue, whereas earlier today it was mostly here to the north. Finally getting a break, by the way, in Huntsville, where, like I said, they've had a foot of rain, more than a foot of rain here over the last 24 hours. All of the rivers are swollen, but probably more importantly than that, the streets are impassable in a lot of spots here around Huntsville, and also in Livingston and around Shepherd, where it is going to take a long time, at least a day or two, for some of that water to begin to drain. The problem with these storms, and you'll see it right here, is that they're sort of setting up in this corridor here where they're not really moving all that much. So you kind of have this little corridor that runs here, and then another one running up here, where we call that training, right? Those are kind of like the train tracks, and all of this just sets up in that corridor and just doesn't want to let up. That's what happened late yesterday and overnight, you know, up in the Huntsville, Walker County area and Lake Livingston area, and unfortunately that's what's happening in Houston right now. As far as is it going to be as bad in Houston as it was up to the north? No, because this is starting to move a little bit. We also have had a lot of lightning, and those lightning numbers are pretty impressive. They've been up around 200 to 300 lightning strikes every 15 minutes. So this is you know, one of the areas that we're going to be monitoring for you right in downtown Houston. That being said, even areas that are not in the warning area are still going to be getting in on some tough thunderstorms. Katy now moving into Fulshear, Simonton, Pecan Grove. Those spots also in the path of what is not necessarily a severe but a very strong thunderstorm. And let me give you an idea of some of the arrival times for this. So the leading edge of this stretches from around Wallace back over to Mission Bend, and then headed toward the south. It's moving at about 35 miles per hour, give or take. So that puts us in Orchard here momentarily, around Pecan Grove in about 2 minutes, Richmond about 6 minutes or so from now, Rosenberg, of course, right next door, about 8 minutes, and down to Beasley, and Pleak coming up in about 15 minutes or so. So that's what we're looking at here as far as the areas in the path there in Fort Bend County. Let me clear this out here for you because we do have this other system that I want to track for you. This is the one that is moving into Houston and making its way potentially toward Brazoria County as well. So again, that one is also moving at about 35 miles per hour, give or take. And so I'll give you some arrival times for this one. Whoops. I'll give you some arrival times for this one as well. Whoops. Sorry about that, guys. As far as, well, anyway, trust me, it's moving down here to the south. So anyway, Sugarland next on the list, Pearland next on the list. Watch out in Galveston County, finally moving your direction as well. And watch out around Baytown because this is a nasty cell there that's going to be creeping its way toward Baytown too. So to wrap things up, Delon, I mean, is there an end in sight? Yes, because it is starting to move a little bit. But until we get to that end, we'll probably end up accumulating 3, maybe 4 inches of rain in the city of Houston in a short amount of time. That almost always means street flooding. So stay put if you can.
Definitely a mess for sure, and much more rain to come. All right. Thanks a lot, Mike. I did just check FlightAware for those of you who may have a flight going in and out of Bush. Obviously, that's in North Harris County. That's really impacted by this right now, more or less in Humble. So far today, over 300, nearly 400 delays, 378 delays at Bush, and 161 cancellations so far in Bush, at Bush. Not too far from Bush, obviously, is Kingwood. That's where our Jonathan Mejia is live there. He's in Kingwood. Jonathan, what are you seeing where you are, and how are roads? Wow, I can see behind you, obviously, roads are very flooded where you are.
That's right, Delon. Very flooded here in Kingwood. Go ahead and take a look at some of the cars that are stalled out here. We're seeing 3 vehicles currently stalled. And if you look further down this street, you're seeing how cars are starting to turn around because, again, we're seeing and saying if you see flooding, turn around and don't drown. And this is the life-threatening situations you can find yourself in. Thankfully, there are no one trapped inside these cars that you're seeing here. But all around the Kingwood area, we're just seeing major flooding. It took us about 30 minutes to get to this spot because several streets here were just flooded. Now I want you to go ahead and take a look over this way. You can kind of see where the water was. It's starting to recede at this point, but go ahead and take a look. We actually have a driver right now driving into this situation that we're seeing here. We just saw lightning strike right now. How's it going, sir? Likewise, sir. You stay safe as well. Again, it's hard to see how he's going to maneuver during these flooding situations. And as you can hear, it is very thunderous in this area. But this is the situation we're seeing here in Kingwood. Lots of streets flooding, lots of rain coming down, and people here, trying to maneuver and navigate through this flood waters. Now we'll be here all day tracking severe weather situations here to bring to you on air and for you to stay home and stay safe so you don't find yourself in a sticky or life-threatening situation.
And those roadways can certainly be life-threatening. I would not advise you to drive through that water like that Toyota 4Runner just did, because you saw the pickup truck that was stuck in the flood water. I mean, it's best, as we tell you as always, turn around. You really don't know how deep this water is. Just north of Jonathan in the Woodlands is our Ruben Dominguez. He's live on 45. The last time we talked with you, you were inside the car. See, you're out now. How are things looking where you are?
Well, the freeway is moving a little. The freeway is moving a little bit more than it was. I mean, when we were on that roadway, it was about a 2 mile an hour, 3 mile an hour crawl, not much more than that. So things may be improving a little bit down from south from where we are. But guys, the problem is here. This is Valleywood Drive at Highway 45. This is the feeder lane. And you can see we've got that Ford that's stuck right there that's flooded out. If you go a little bit deeper down that road where you see that Mission Woods apartment sign, that guy is in waist-high water. That vehicle is not going anywhere. This road right here has been impassable for the past 20 minutes since we've been here. You see these vehicles that got stalled out a little bit. Vehicle over there trying to pull into that parking lot is stalled out. But now we see some of the folks that have been in this backup that's about a quarter of a mile backup before you get to this flooded area have just been trying to brave it and make their way through. So far, a few of them have been getting by, but this is never a good idea because you don't know how deep that water is. It's impossible to tell by just looking, from one side of the curb to the other. So luckily these folks are being able to advance. I hope they're able to make it through there, because getting flooded out in a storm like this, when the rain's just going to keep coming down for a while, is a worst case scenario. Some of those vehicles that are over there that we just talked about a few minutes ago, I mean, with that much water, a wrecker can't even get to you. You just have to wait till that water recedes completely, and that's not what you want to have to do. That's not the situation you want to find yourself in right now. We've got another smaller vehicle here is just trying to power through. He was in that parking lot a few minutes ago and he just went for it. Luckily he made it through, but guys, it's not a good idea. We had a severe weather situation some years ago, and I remember I was trying to come in through work and there was some high water in my neighborhood, and I said, well, I think I can get through that, and I flooded out. So you don't know how deep it is. It's impossible to gauge when you're just sitting in your car behind the wheel. So the best thing to do is not get on the roadway at the moment. If you can find a little shopping center or some high ground, a gas station, pull over and just wait it out, because at least you know your vehicle is going to be able to operate properly when the water recedes. But again, if you're just joining us, I-45, we're in the southbound lanes. That's Valleywood Drive right here that you're looking at, and traffic has been a nightmare along this stretch because the water is very high in some areas. We passed several, more than a dozen vehicles that were flooded out on our way just from Woodlands Parkway all the way down here. And we're just a little bit north of 99 to give you some perspective on where we're at. You can hear one of the guys that pulled out of the water trying to rev his engine, make sure he doesn't have any water in it. And that's just a dicey situation. You can see all these folks over here in this shopping center that are waiting it out and trying to, wait till this water goes down, and hopefully they haven't been flooded out, but they're just taking cover under that awning over there, doing the best they can. Again, it's not a good situation at all out here, guys. The roadways definitely have been a problem with all the rain this morning. The good thing is we have not seen any major accidents, and we went all the way as north as Conroe. We came down Conroe, we went west on 105 for a little while. Everything was clear there. We came back down, we went south on 1480, west on 1488 for a little while, and nothing there as well. We can see some folks kind of wading through the water. I'm not sure where that Dodge truck is trying to go. That's the second time he's turned around and tried to go into that area. I don't know if he's trying to maybe get a tow line on that car or something, but that water just keeps getting deeper. You see that gentleman walking in it right there, that's above his knees. So that is not a good situation to be in, folks. And we had one of our local officials talking about wading in the water earlier when we were in our live stream, guys. And you don't know if a manhole cover has come loose. You don't know what kind of debris is in that water. You should never wade through flooded water like that if you can avoid it. That is a bad idea. But right now, again, Valleywood Drive right here along the feeder street, southbound of I-45. Guys, we're going to keep an eye on it, and we'll have more for you shortly. Right now, back to you in the studio.
All right. We appreciate that. Thanks a lot. And like he said there, you don't know what's in the water. You don't know what type of insects or reptiles could be in the water. You don't know how deep it is. You never really know. It's best that you, first of all, don't even drive in the water and don't even walk in it if you don't have to. Where he is, I know he's near Sawdust Road there on the North Freeway. And that, if you look on Houston TransStar, that's actually listed as one of the high water locations. There's at least a good 9 or 10 high water locations, and the majority of them are right there on the North Freeway. I mean, Sawdust Road, Loop 336, southbound at SH 249, Wilson Road. 45 has really been getting pounded throughout this morning. This is a live look now too, even on the East Tex Freeway near the San Jacinto River here. And you can really see how high the river has gotten more so there. And then again, this is back on the North Freeway. This is at Little York. And if you're looking at the frontage roads there, it looks like from my perspective, yeah, there is some flooding there on the frontage roads. And then the further north you get on the North Freeway, this is at Mount Houston. Yeah, it's certainly a mess. For sure, yeah. Let's get up to Shelby Rose. She's been in Polk County all morning. And where are you now in Polk County, Shelby? I know it looks like you're in a different location.
Yes, DeLon, we're actually in downtown Livingston at the moment. This is an area that has been completely hammered by flooding this morning. To kind of give you an idea of how badly it was and how much better it has gotten, I was just speaking with some Livingston police officers who told me that where I'm standing right here, water was over my head this morning. So all of these businesses, to give you a little look at this, see these U-Haul trucks that are kind of scattered about? They were across the road. The floodwaters literally took them up and carried them into the road. Thankfully, though, it is receded enough that now we have some tow trucks that are out here. These roads are starting to open back up, but it truly was a terrible situation just a few hours ago. And this is what I want to show you, which is still incredible. Look at how unbelievably fast this water is moving here through downtown Livingston. This is what was responsible for all of that flooding this morning. I don't even want to know how fast that water is moving. So thankfully, though, the situation here in downtown Livingston specifically is starting to improve as Livingston police are opening the roads back up. But one major issue that we have been covering all morning long, and that is the closure of Highway 59 through Livingston in both directions. And guess what? It is still closed. So it has been going on more than 3 hours, 4 hours now, I think, since 7:30 this morning. I've lost track of time. That it has been closed, and it is still closed. Also speaking with Livingston police officers, they have no idea when it will be back open. They say it is still really, really terrible as the water is moving over Highway 59. So it's going to be closed for the foreseeable future. So take that in mind. If you have any plans to drive either northbound or southbound on 59, don't. And it's the same story, honestly, all around Polk County. We have roads that have been flooded all morning long that have been impassable. Thankfully, though, this major road, this is the 59 business route, this is now open back up, but it is something that you don't want to risk. You don't want to think that you can take an alternate route to go around 59 and then you're going to come across another impassable road. So the good news is the conditions in downtown Livingston have improved. Bad news is 59 definitely has not, so avoid that at all costs. DeLon?
Insane to see there, Shelby. Quick question. I see them allowing traffic to move through there. I imagine that road was closed at one point. They're not letting people drive through on that road behind you, though?
This road behind me is open. It was closed for the majority of the morning. As I said, water, DeLon, was seriously, they were telling me that it was probably above my head. They're like, you would have been underwater just a few hours ago.
Okay. Well, you stay safe out there. We appreciate all your reporting here this morning. Let's transition here back to Jonathan. He's in Kingwood. We're hearing there is a driver stuck in their vehicle right now, Jonathan?
That's right, DeLon. Earlier today, I wasn't able to make sure if anyone was in the car, but as we walked further into this area, we saw that there is indeed a man stuck in his car. We're going to go talk to him right now. He kind of told us what he was doing out here and why. Oh, there's a little dip there. But, sir, how long have you been stuck in these waters?
About 20 minutes.
About 20 minutes or so. And you were telling us the reason why you came out here today.
Well, I was trying to get back home. I'd gone to do blood work at Quest and was coming back and looked at Google Maps, and it said that this was a dry road, so it lied to me.
Right, and for you it was necessary to come out today, correct?
Yeah, I needed to get the blood work done for my oncologist on.
And I'm not sure if you're able to see from here, but his car is already flooded. We're seeing water inside this car, and sir, you can feel water on your feet, correct?
Yeah, it's in the floorboard.
And I have understood you did call a tow truck, and what's their estimated time to get to you?
Right at this point in time, they say it's going to be about 70 minutes. So a little over an hour.
So a little over an hour. Sir, hope you stay safe.
I will. Don't worry.
As you're hearing him, he said he's staying safe. We also have onlookers here, neighbors who are here just taking in this entire situation. Again, a guy is stuck here on the street, and it's the reality that people are living in, and that's why we say don't drive, just turn around so you don't get stuck in these conditions.
Jonathan, have you seen any other vehicles try to drive through or even make it through? The last time we talked with you, I saw that SUV that drove through behind you, and that truck made it. Has anyone else tried to do that since you've been there?
Yeah, since we've been here, I can count about 3 or 4 cars that successfully have made it through. Right now, if we turn around this way, you can see that there's some people actually turning around, not wanting to get through here. But we're seeing this white pickup truck. We're not sure if he's going to make it all the way through. Oh, nope, he's turning around, as you can see, because they don't want to get in this situation here.
Yeah, it's best to be just like them because you never really know. You can try it and then you get right there and then you're stuck. Jonathan, thank you so much for that. You stay safe out there, and hopefully that driver as well stays safe. And I understand, we do tell people quite often, if you don't have to be out, don't be out. But there are people, just like the man you heard from it, for example, in that Chrysler 300, he had to get out because he had a physician's appointment, a doctor's appointment there for some blood work. If you don't have to be out, if it is not imperative for you to leave your house, we are urging you to stay inside because you get out and then you may not be able to get back in. There are a lot of power outages right now as well. We're talking more than 114,000 CenterPoint customers without power at this hour. A lot of this, from what I'm seeing in this map, this is more so in North Harris County, and then we're talking, I believe this may be even like Montgomery County area from what I can see in this map here. So for sure, stay home if you can, and it's just best to turn around if you see any high water, because again, you can't really gauge how deep that water is until you really get into it, and then by then it's too late. Let's head back to Allison Gargaro with the check of the weather and another look at the forecast. Allison.
And Delon, we're just continuing to monitor this heavy rain. I do want to let you know, unlike what we've been seeing over the last several hours, it does look like these showers and storms are starting to move off to the south and east. But you showed a map of where we are seeing some of those power outages, and it could be because of that severe thunderstorm that just rolled through. We're just getting reports in from the National Weather Service that there was a 64-mile-per-hour wind gusts reported in Cyprus. And if you live there, you're probably saying, yes, I heard that. So the severe thunderstorm warning has ended. But I want to take this loop off here so we can show you that this heavy rain is now off to the south. We're actually seeing it toward Pasadena and into Pearland. And this rain is falling at a rate of, we're looking at about, that's the wrong one here. Let me grab accumulations. Anywhere from 2 to nearly 4 inches per hour. So Pearland, these reports are showing maybe closer to 5, if not 6. But with that being said, you could be seeing a total of likely 2 to 3 inches in a very short amount of time. Now, I do want to mention that these showers are starting to move, I don't want to say quickly, but we're starting to see them pick up just a bit to the southeast at about 34, 35 miles per hour. So that heavy rain that we've been monitoring through Pearland and Pasadena, likely moving into Taylor Lakes Village in about 9 minutes, Seabrook in about 12, and Dickinson in about 18 to 20 minutes from now. That means that if you are in any of those cities that I just mentioned, just try to stay inside, because not only is it the heavy rain, but we're also monitoring some pretty strong winds. So out toward Channelview, you can see the I-10 corridor here. We are looking at winds anywhere from, let's say, 30 to nearly 45 miles per hour. Now that is going to be at where the radar beam is, so not quite at ground level, but that means you could be seeing wind gusts about 30, if not 35. So I do want to talk about accumulations, because that is something that has been just astronomical in a very short amount of time. So this is a 3-hour rainfall rate, or how much rain we've seen, but I want to go to the last 6 hours. And the area that you're seeing on your screen is extending from Tomball to the Woodlands, Spring, Atascocita, Splendora. But here we go. We saw more than 6 inches of rain in these spots within just the last 6 hours. And honestly, it's really been within the last 4. And so that was just this morning. If I take you out and show you 12-hour rainfall totals, but we move a little bit north. So these are going to be Huntsville to New Waverly, Willis, Cold Spring, Livingston. We're showing, at least this is what our computer models are looking at, 5 to 7 inches, but we actually have reports coming from the National Weather Service saying about 12 inches of rain fell in Huntsville within the last 24 hours. And you saw where our very own Shelby Rose is. And officials were saying that the water was well over her head, and that's why it's so important not to drive through any of these flooded roadways. So if I take you back to our radar, I want to show you who is in the clear and then have any active warnings in the sense of severe weather. Our latest one did expire at 11:45 rather, so about 15 minutes ago. And that's the last that we've seen. But we're still getting new information coming down from the National Weather Service, just saying that they're extending some of these flash flood warnings just because more rain is going to continue. And the only, again, silver lining that we have for you is that there's some clearing north and west, but this heavy rain is still falling as we speak. And just while we're here, I just want to look to see if hail is anything that we're worried about. And right now, it looks like Any chance for hail would be between Channelview and Baytown, out toward LaPorte, and then right along I-45 as you're. I just want to look to see if hail is anything that we're worried about, and right now it looks like any chance for hail would be between Channelview and Baytown, out toward LaPorte, and then right along I-45 as you're heading down toward League City and Dickinson. If anything, it would be really small. We're talking pea-sized hail, but that still is not safe for folks to be out and about in. So nothing severe at the moment, but that honestly could change if we do see any of that. We're going to continue to bring you the latest updates. Lastly, I just want to take you out to some of the wind gusts that we are seeing, and I'm going to take you back to base velocity here. So again, at radar beam level, so not quite at ground level, we are looking at anywhere from 37 to nearly 50 mile-per-hour winds. This is going to be in the area of Channelview, Baytown, and then just to the west of LaPorte there. A few more lightning strikes are popping up as well. It's important to stay inside, even though most of that flooding that we are seeing is going to be north of Houston. That doesn't mean that we couldn't be seeing some localized flooding through the metro. So make sure you stick with us here at Fox 26. We'll continue to bring you the latest.
All right, Allison, thanks a lot. I want to reference this here really quickly. Harris County Sheriff Ed Gonzalez literally just tweeted here just a couple of minutes ago. An 18-wheeler has hydroplaned on the East Tex Freeway. We do have a Houston TransStar camera there, and you can see they're right in the middle of your screen. This is the East Tex Freeway at Hopper, where you can see multiple lanes are impacted by this. And I mean, the road is very slick, very wet, as you can see from both of our cameras here. This is another look from another Houston TransStar camera at East Mount Houston. Again, this is the East Tex Freeway, an 18-wheeler hydroplaned, which obviously goes to show how slick these roadways are. You may think sometimes if you have a larger vehicle, an SUV, or in this case, an 18-wheeler, that you may be exempt from driving slow. You may be exempt from not driving through some of these high waterways. You can certainly get stuck. You can certainly hydroplane. If you have to go out, and we're urging you not to leave your house, but if you have to go out, if it is unavoidable, make sure you take it slow. If you see any high water for whatever reason, just turn around. It is not worth it. The rush is not worth it, because an issue just like this can happen. Any vehicle can certainly hydroplane. Any vehicle can get stuck, and this is clearly a telltale sign right in front of you. An 18-wheeler, again, if you're just joining us here. I know it's 12 o'clock here on this Thursday. We're approaching a new hour. We've been on for the past several hours. We're getting you team coverage. An 18-wheeler here on the East Tex Freeway. This is North Harris County. Hydroplane. This is at Hopper. So keep it slow. And if you don't have to leave your house, certainly don't. Let's go live to Jonathan Mejia. He is also in North Harris County. He is in the Kingwood area. The last time we talked with you, we spoke with the driver who was stuck in his vehicle. What's the latest out there now, Jonathan?
And then I'll pull you out back.
Yes, we found actually another driver stuck here. He's been here for about 3 hours. He tells me it's been since 9 o'clock that you got stuck. Is that right, Mike Cook?
Yes, yeah, around 9 o'clock I was driving up the streets to a property I just purchased to meet with a contractor, and just the car stalled out.
And talk to us about the efforts you have in trying to get rescued. I know you said you went through Facebook groups, you called AAA, you called tow truck companies.
Yeah, I started with AAA. They got somebody out, but they weren't able to come through the floodwaters. So reached out to some groups on Facebook that I've seen before used for some people that have off-road vehicles to see if I could get a tow that way.
And how delighted are you that, you know, someone came to your rescue and you're now in the process of getting out of this situation?
Yeah, I'm hopeful to be able to get out and resume my day, hopefully. Yeah.
Perfect. Now, we want to walk over and kind of talk to this guy briefly. So you were telling us you were busy this morning with several calls. Is that right, sir?
What's that now?
Several calls this morning.
Yes, several calls, at least over 40.
And talk to us about the process of coming out here and just getting people out of the situation.
So during Hurricane Harvey, we lost the vehicle that we had because I did so many recoveries. And then when 2019 hit, Tropical Storm Imelda hit and flooded the feeder road off of 1314 and Ford Road. I had a similar situation as this where I was interviewed as well, and me and another guy in a bigger lifted truck, we were helping as much and as many people as we possibly could.
And I just heard you get off the phone with, I'm assuming, a mother or a father who was talking about they were stuck in a car with three children.
Yeah, she has 3 children. One is under 2, and the other 2 is 3 and 5. She's stuck somewhere along this area as well. So, you know, just doing everything I can to help.
Right, and what is your advice for people who find themselves in this situation? How should they remain calm during these situations?
Well, in a situation such as this, you know, a lot of folks, they have these new hybrid vehicles. Turn around, don't drown. Especially don't drown your vehicle. It's your mode of transportation. And also, if the water's halfway above your tire, don't try to dredge through it. You know, I've got an older vehicle. Of course, it is 4x4. It's lifted, so I'm able to get into a more of a nastier element. And my boss is out helping rescuing people as well. His name's Chris Gridley with G2 Precisions. So, you know, it's just, like I said, ever since this morning hit, most of the recoveries were down by Bennett Estates, where the San Jacinto was starting to flow over its banks. And I went down there and helped out a lot of people as well.
Thank you for that, and thank you for your service for helping people out here.
Absolutely.
So yeah, we're back out here. As I mentioned, you know, several people, you know, find themselves stuck in this situation now. We also seen people who drive up and then just turn around, and we also want to talk to neighbors here that are taking on this same situation here. Sir, since I've been out here, I've seen you're out here, you know, just taking this situation. You said it isn't as bad as Harvey, but just how impacting is it seeing these cars stalled here?
Yeah, it's impacting me pretty hard. I mean, they're blocking my driveway, but yeah, they stall out pretty often if they try to go through. So, but the way the roads are designed, they said it's to keep the water from our house. And if y'all come back without the water here, y'all can see it's dipped in.
Yeah, and you know, we say all the time, you know, turn around, don't drown. How important is it that we keep on repeating that message so that we're not, you know, seeing these situations, or you find yourself in this situation?
Yeah, definitely not to drive through it. I mean, it's not worth it. I mean, we usually tell people to stop farther down there, and then we'll offer them to come over and hang out until the rain goes away.
Great. Well, thank you so much. We're back out here. You're taking a live look of someone getting rescued out of the situation. Of course, we'll be here monitoring all day the situation and keeping you live on Fox 26.
All right, Jonathan, thanks a lot. We just got word from our team on our assignment desk here at Fox 26 that the San Jacinto River is over its banks at this hour. Certainly news we did not want to hear. Let's go live now to, okay, let's transition here actually. Let's go back into our studio. Let's go to Mike Iskovitz, Chief Meteorologist Mike Iskovitz, who has been keeping us safe throughout all of this morning, him and Allison. Let's get right back over to him with a check of the forecast. That's not what we wanted to hear, certainly when it comes to the river.
And so I wanted to give you this information because it was brand new, right? So we've been talking about the San Jacinto River, both the East Fork and now the West Fork. They both come down and meet up near Humble into Lake Houston, and check this out. Okay, so this is the latest, what's called the hydrologic forecast from NOAA. The San Jacinto River near Humble. And look at the current forecast. So right now it's rising, like Delon just said, it's rising out of its banks above flood stage. Look at the forecast crest here. Now this is Friday. This is Saturday. So all of that rain, you know, the foot of rain that fell to the north is, well, it flowed into Lake Conroe. Lake Conroe is closed right now because the water levels are so high. Now they're releasing that water over the spillway. And just look at this, in about 48 hours, this is going to be a pretty significant crest of the San Jacinto River. We do have a live look here. This is the one from 59, right? So this is the East Tex Freeway, or 69. At the San Jacinto River, and so that is the West Fork of the San Jacinto. So the road you're looking at right now is 59/69, you know, East Tex Freeway, and under that freeway there are neighborhoods down there that get flooded when the water rises this high. And if you were to take the off-ramp or the frontage roads, there are some turnarounds there that will also become flooded and impassable. So we're of course going to look into this very closely because it can affect people there in the Humble-Kingwood area. So that's something very, very important. So that's the West Fork of the San Jacinto. Now I want to show you the East Fork of the San Jacinto, which runs by New Caney, and this is what's going to really be eye-opening. Because yesterday, earlier this week, we had our reporter Shelby Rose was there in New Caney when it was cresting right here. and the water was like, knee deep, and there were some neighborhoods that were impassable. Well, look at this. So that's what happened. And that was a story when that happened. And now look at this huge secondary crest. By the way, this level right here is the record level. So that's the highest observed level at that location. So we're talking about like Hurricane Harvey levels or Hurricane Imelda levels, which happened 2 years after Harvey. So that's the record. And right now the forecast is for it to crest just a couple of feet below that record. So this is expected to happen if you look at the bottom of the screen here. So now this is Friday into Saturday. So it may be about 48 hours from now that we get a really significant crest on both of those rivers, both the East Fork and the West Fork of the San Jacinto River. So that's what we're tracking right now. It is a pretty big deal. In the meantime, we're also looking at street flooding, and Jonathan Mejia has been out there in Kingwood, which is one of the areas here that's under a flash flood warning. That's in effect until 2 p.m. today. As Allison was just pointing out a few minutes ago, everything is easing up. It really, these are a shell of their former selves as far as these thunderstorms are concerned, but it's still going to take a long time for these roads to clear out, and there is a bit more rain that's moving in from the west also. So the Woodlands and Spring back across to Humble and Kingwood, you can expect those neighborhoods to have a very, very slow draining of the water, especially with more rain moving in from the west. Houston, it's not that it's a picnic out there, but really in the city, we were spared by far the worst of it because the storms were sort of weakening as they moved in. Now we're down here to the League City, Dickinson area and over to around NASA, where we do have some pretty healthy downpours coming down, a chance for some minor street flooding along 146, NASA Road 1, Bay Area Boulevard and all those spots, but nothing super serious right now. It is still a concern for folks down around Angleton, Lake Jackson, Clute, that area. You're still really warm and humid, and this line here right there is moving your direction, so that may help to fire up some more storms in Brazoria County. We're not out of the woods yet. No, not by a long shot. We definitely have seen some improvement in Houston, but there's still activity out to the west, and everything is saturated, and the water levels are still going to be rising for areas north of Houston. So far, so good around like Brazos River and those spots are doing okay. Look at how this thing has developed. This is a 12-hour loop, and it's just such a complicated pattern. You're going to see a circulation right there move across to our north, and then at the very end here, I want you to see why we're seeing some improvement right now. This race down from the north. So that sort of helped to clear out some of those areas off, to the north, like Huntsville and those spots, getting a little bit of a break from it right now. So I understand that we're going to be looking at, Mark? Sorry, I thought we had a TransStar view we were going to look at, or no? Well, let's go ahead and skip ahead to the forecast here, because I know people are wondering when is this going to end, right? Well, for the rest of the day today, still a Fox 26 storm alert day, and we're going to maintain a very high likelihood for rain here at 80%. Although the worst of the heavy rain is probably over with, that does not mean the flooding is over, though. Tomorrow, a 50% remaining rain chance, more scattered. And then heading into this weekend and early next week, there's going to be a lot of cleanup to do, and something to think about already. It is going to be really warm, really humid heading into this weekend and early next week, when a lot of people are going to be out there picking up the pieces and doing all that stuff. And that can also cause a lot of health problems and injuries too. So Delon, this whole thing is a mess, but like I've been telling people, the most important thing to do right now is to either stay off the roadways, or if you do have to drive, like you just advised everyone, take it slow, drive carefully. Don't go through water-covered roadways.
Yeah, for sure. Wherever you have to go, your life is far more important than that. And the other people around you, their life is more important than that as well. Let's go live now to Ruben Dominguez. He has been on 45 just north of 99 in the Woodlands throughout this afternoon. And cars, as I see, are still stuck. Flood water is still high there.
Yeah, guys. It is, the water has gone down a bit, if you can believe that, by looking at this picture. If you see that white SUV coming towards us, and that's a relatively high vehicle, just barely made it through. That smaller vehicle that you see, they were trying to advance through there. They are backing up. They are going to turn around. This little vehicle also should not be going. This little black Chevy that you see in your shot there, that is not a good idea, because once you get into the middle of that water over there, you're looking at about 2.5 feet of water. I saw a guy wading through it, and it was above his knees. So we've been telling you all morning long, if you there's no reason to walk through floodwaters like that. You don't know what's on the ground. Could be a manhole cover that's been moved off. Could be debris. It's just not a good idea. The good news is, the little bit of good news is, the feeder street along 45, and that's what you're looking at right here at Valleywood. This traffic was not here 10 minutes ago. You could not pass through this particular area. The backup was about a quarter of a mile back, heading all the way back towards Woodlands Parkway. It was an absolute mess. The rain has really lightened up quite a bit here over the past half hour, giving that water just a little bit of a chance to recede. But as you can tell, again, looking down Valleywood Drive, it's still very high by that apartment complex over there, and we've seen some folks trying to navigate it. Most of them, we've seen them turn around and not take a chance on getting stuck in it. You know, the roadways have been such a big problem this morning for everybody. I think that by now, our Fox 26 viewers that have been watching all morning long, if they could stay home, they did. But other folks that had no choice but to get on the roadways today, many of them found roads that were impassable, high flooded side streets and frontage roads. So yeah, it's been a mess. We have seen trucks, higher clearance vehicles be able to navigate these particular stretches, but if you're in a car that sits low to the ground and you've been on the roadways anywhere in the viewing, in most of the roadways in the viewing area, it's been a problem. Take a look at 45 right here. The speed has picked up quite a bit as well as folks are headed south toward 99 and on into Houston. It's been a lot better. It is a lot better right now, because when we pulled up here about 45 minutes to an hour ago, I'm telling you, it wasn't moving more than about 2 miles an hour. It was just an absolute crawl. So conditions on the roadways picking up a little bit, but if you don't have to be out in this, it's a good idea not to. We're going to send it back to you guys in the studio.
Definitely a good idea to stay at home for sure, and because of that, there are a couple of school closures and early releases before we let you go to break, because we're going to reset here in just a second. Splendora ISD is releasing their students early today. High school students will be leaving really just in the next 15 minutes at 12:30. With elementary school students, buses will follow them at 1:30. And if you're a parent and you need to head out and want to pick up your child in Splendora ISD, you can really do that right now if you so choose. And then we just learned here just a second ago that Cleveland ISD will be closed tomorrow in anticipation of high flood waters in the San Jacinto River. So I wouldn't be surprised if more schools will be closed tomorrow as well. Let's have to break here for a second. We will be right back here with much more coverage of this severe weather. Keep it right here. Okay, we're back now with continuing coverage of this severe weather impacting many of our northern counties here in our viewing area. Let's head back out to Polk County. That's where Shelby Rose has been throughout the morning and afternoon. And it looks like traffic has cleared up, but from my understanding, the highway is still closed?
Yeah, so the reason why you don't see any cars behind me is because they've cleared the highway out because it is still closed. 59 is still closed in both directions here through Livingston. I was just speaking with a DPS trooper. He tells me that the water is receding in this area a little bit. So the best estimate that he has, granted, don't take it as, final word, but in about 3 hours, maybe they'll open up 59 here in Livingston. The problem is, though, is that 59 as of 30 minutes ago is now closed in both directions in Shepherd. So if you're in Shepherd trying to get through Shepherd in both directions of 59, that is now closed. They were telling me that that's just because all of the water that was up here has now flown downwards into Shepherd, and now that is now closed in both directions. Good news is, though, is that the flooding situation in downtown Livingston, this community as a whole, it is receding pretty rapidly, which is nice. A lot of these businesses did get completely flooded out. A lot of cars got flooded out, so that is obviously very unfortunate news. But the fact that the floodwaters are receding is something that is good news. But in terms of Highway 59, I mean, it is going to be a disaster for no telling how long. I asked this trooper when he could think that Shepherd would reopen. He couldn't even give me a rough estimate. So, guys, if you were traveling on 59 at all, northbound or southbound in Livingston and Shepherd, you're going to have to try to find an alternate route because it is pretty disastrous out here. DeLon?
And I know you've been out there throughout the morning and afternoon, which I imagine that means you're stuck out there as well, too.
Yes, DeLon, we are very much stuck in Livingston, and there is no telling when we could even get back in Houston. We might actually have to get a hotel room if conditions do not improve at all. So it's just kind of a waiting game at the moment.
Well, we're certainly hoping conditions improve and you stay safe out there. Thanks for keeping us informed throughout this morning and afternoon for sure. Let's go back to Allison Gargaro with another check of the forecast and going into the weekend. Those rivers certainly will get higher for sure.
That's exactly right. So what we're seeing is the waters are going to continue to rise. Maybe people are thinking, oh, it might be improving, but we've seen more than a foot of rainfall in Huntsville within the last 24 hours. So all of that rain is slowly going to be moving off to the south, meaning that you're not in the clear yet with the flooding, unfortunately. But it does look like we are starting to see some clearing, at least of the rain and storms from Huntsville to Trinity, Navasota, and even into Livingston. But folks, to the south of that, I mean, we're talking Brenham and into Belleville, the Woodlands, Cypress. You are seeing that heavy rain and lightning continue through. So about 100 strikes within the last 15 minutes here. We're seeing it up toward Magnolia. Conroe, you're right on the fringe where there still could be some lingering showers, but really it looks like the heavy rain is going to be right along I-10. So you can see from Brookshire to Katy, Houston, Channelview, and then into Baytown, and look further south, Galveston. You are starting to see some of that light rain, but I want to let you know, whatever is out here, we're talking Alvin to Santa Fe Dickinson, is going to be moving toward the coast. So I'm actually going to stop the loop here and let's time it out for you. A few of these lightning strikes and that heavy rain going to be moving into Bayou Vista in about 13 minutes from now. In Galveston, I'd say within the next 25 to about 30. And that's if that cell in particular is actually going to hold still here. But if we talk about our rainfall rate, now what we're seeing is actually some improvement of the heavy rain. If you were with us over the last, well, all morning long, let's say, we were seeing a lot of these purple shaded areas on your screen showing anywhere from 4 to nearly 6 inches of rain that could fall within the hour. But now we're starting to see some of the lighter greens, and as we get to that light green color, that means that rain is not falling quite as hard. But there's still some action out to the west. So I don't want you to let your guard down yet. But if we actually take you out to some of the winds that we're seeing right now, I'd say they're definitely not quite as strong. Out toward Baytown, we could be seeing about 25 to 35 mile per hour winds. Again, that's not going to be quite at ground level, but that means still some gusty winds will be coming through. Now, the radar, we're keeping a close eye out on what is coming and to where. So once again, want to take you out 290. You can see Giddings to Brenham, toward Hempstead, all the way to Cypress. So some of these areas of the frequent lightning that we're seeing are moving off to the south and east. So once again, let me put on our tracker and you can see moving at about 30 to 35 miles per hour. So Hempstead likely going to be seeing that cell in particular move in about 12 minutes, Pine Island in about 17, and Prairie View in about 21 minutes from now. And I think everybody probably wants to know or is curious, well, how much rain have we seen? So we're going to start at 3-hour rainfall totals. Out in the Woodlands, about 3 inches, Atascocita about 4, and just to the east of Liberty about 3. Okay, so that's the 3-hour rainfall totals. Let's go to 6-hour. There you go. You just add a few more hours. So what is it, 12:30? So 6 hours ago, so we're at about the 6:30 hour. We saw even more of that rain. And over the last 24 hours, boy, it just, I mean, it goes on and continues up. So here we go. Let me zoom in up toward Willis, into Huntsville, Trinity. Now, this is just what we call a pixel query, so I'm literally just picking a point on the map. But coming from the National Weather Service, we have reports of more than a foot of rain falling in Huntsville. Other spots, Splendora, about 9 inches of rain. So really ranging anywhere from 7 to nearly 12 inches, especially in these areas that you're seeing right here that are shaded in the reds as well as purples. That's going to be the heaviest rain. And we talk about where this rain goes. Well, the ground is just so saturated that this water is not going to really be soaking in. It's going to be moving downstream. So downstream from the Trinity River, from Shepherd to Cleveland, Humboldt to Atascocita. And what I'm going to do is actually take us out to a separate graphic. So just bear with me real quick. We're going to take what is max 3, and it's showing the flooding of the San Jacinto River. So I want to take you out to the East Fork. That's Splendora and points off to the south of that. We've had reporters out there from the rain that we saw earlier this week, and we were saying, hey, the river's cresting, we are at major flood stage, and we've actually seen it maybe recede a little bit. But if you look up to, let me get my mouse here so you can see where this is forecast to peak and exactly when. Saturday at 11:30. So the rain will have cleared. We're actually going to be seeing some drying conditions, but that means that come this weekend, that's when some of these rivers, the East Fork and likely even the West Fork, going to be peaking. So it's important to note that yes, the rain still going to take a few hours to clear out of here. It slowly will, but that flooding is going to be a big concern for us. So make sure you stick with us here at Fox 26 as we continue to bring you the latest updates, and Fox Local is going to be the place to see it all.
Okay, Allison, thanks a lot. Before we head to break here, again, I've been referencing some school closures. Cleveland ISD closed tomorrow. Splendora ISD doing an early dismissal right now as we head into 12:30. I checked with Conroe ISD and no closure at this point so far. Spring ISD also the same as Conroe, no closure at this point looking into tomorrow. But all after school activities in Spring ISD are canceled for tonight. So I imagine more school closures could come in throughout the afternoon and evening for sure, and we certainly will keep you posted and let you know. In the meantime, let's go to break, and we'll be back right after this.
southwest area of Kingwood near the Trailwood Village subdivision. So we ran across this area where the road is flooded. I'll tell you, we did make some rounds throughout the area. We have seen the water receding. As you can see now, cars are able to drive through here, even though this is, there's still water here on Woodland Hills Drive. We're not too far from the River Grove Park area. We spoke to a couple of residents. They didn't want to go on camera, but they told us they have not seen this much water on this road since Harvey. They usually like to come through here riding their bikes, and all morning it's been like this. They did give me a warning that there are gators over here. This is a tributary off of San Jacinto, and this is why this water is so high, as San Jacinto has risen today. But yeah, we are keeping an eye out for any other wildlife. That's just another important reminder not to step into high waters like this, because you don't know what is lying underneath. But earlier on our tour of the Kingwood area, we did see more than half a dozen stalled vehicles. Even though the water has receded, that's what's been left behind. The vehicles that have stalled out or flooded this morning. So emergency crews are still on the roads out here in this area trying to clear those roads. We got stuck several times waiting behind some of that traffic as emergency vehicles and tow trucks were responding to all those stalled vehicles. So yeah, things are improving. We can say that for sure, but you still have to be careful, especially around high water like this. Again, don't drive through it. Don't try to step through it, because we don't know what is swimming in this water coming off of San Jacinto right now off of Woodland Hills Drive. I'm going to send it back to you. Chelsea Edwards reporting in Kingwood.
Okay, Chelsea, thanks a lot. Like she said there, and we always tell you when you see these high waters, don't even try it. Just don't even drive around it. I mean, don't even drive through it, excuse me. Don't even attempt to do it, because you never know how high it is. You don't know if your vehicle can make it through. And then by the time you try to do it, then you're stuck and you're calling a first responder to come out. And many of them are responding to so many incidents right now. We spoke with a man in Kingwood, for example, who had been waiting, and he had to leave. He had a doctor's appointment and could not miss that. He had to leave his house and had to wait, or told us it was about a 70-minute wait. So you can just, that's indicative of how long you're going to be waiting if you leave your house and then you get stuck trying to drive through these flood waters. We've been referencing these school closures. Many schools have been closed throughout this morning. School districts rather have been closed throughout this morning and afternoon. Cleveland ISD already closing tomorrow. Referenced Conroe ISD just a few minutes ago. And it did not close today, and it still, at this point, remains to be seen if classes will be canceled for tomorrow. The superintendent of Conroe ISD, Dr. Curtis Knoll, he just issued a statement, an on-camera statement here just a second ago. Let's listen into that.
There has been no decision at this point to have an early release, and I'll explain why that is. Number one is we only want to roll buses when it's safe to do so, and we only want to put kids into safe situations. An early release situation where we put children on a bus and take them home early, we could be introducing them into a dangerous situation when their parents are still not at home. And that's a scary thought for us. Now, if we get indication from the county that there is a window that's the better time to roll our buses rather than normal time, we will heed that advice, as we always do. But at this point, we have not heard that information, so we are scheduled to be on a normal release time. Now, it is fine if you choose to pick your children up early. We have a lot of different situations throughout the school district. Some areas have surface flooding and it's gone down and things are much better, but other areas that have waterways and the river are only going to get worse as the day continues, and we understand that you need to make those choices as a family. Your children will not be held accountable for any tardies today, any absences, or if you choose to pick them up early. So that is a choice that you can make. We support you in that. Want you to do absolutely what is best for your family. So just to go back over that, it's a question that's come up. Will these absences or tardies hurt my child? Will it count against exemptions or things of that nature? It will not. So you can absolutely make that decision to go pick up your children before we release today. Right now we are scheduled for normal release. We will only roll the buses if it's safe to do so and where it is safe to do so. So if there are areas of our school district that are flooded that we can't get to, we will not roll a bus into a dangerous situation. We'll be in contact with you about coming to get your child or making other arrangements for someone to get your child. I will tell you that there may be delays in bus service this afternoon because some roads may be impassable. That would force us to go around and take a longer route than we normally would to get to a particular neighborhood. So, excuse me. So I just want to make sure that we're all on the same page with that. So normal release at this time. Once again, that could change if we receive additional information, but we will communicate that with you.
So again there, that was Dr. Curtis Knoll, Superintendent of Conroe ISD, informing parents if you have a child in Conroe ISD, the district is still under a normal release, a normal dismissal today, specifically because of the dangerous conditions. They don't want to put any students in any dangerous situations. The bus drivers, if your student rides the bus in any dangerous situation, or even parents in any dangerous situation. If you are a parent and you have a student in Conroe ISD, and if you want to go get them right now, you are more than welcome and more than willing to do so. And that absence will not hurt your child at all. There are other districts, for example, Splendora ISD. They are doing an early dismissal right now. That was about 12:30, and then elementary students will be at 1:30. And then a litany of other districts in the northern suburbs, many of them already canceled classes for today between Livingston ISD, Cleveland ISD, and the list continues. Let's go to break here for just another second. We'll be right back with much more. All right, we are back now with much more news and coverage of our storm alert day. I believe this looks like the West Loop or the North Loop potentially, 610. or this might be I-10. We're still figuring out where exactly this is. Our crews are at right now, but if you have to leave, especially maybe if you're in the greater Houston area, roadways are not as bad as they are in the northern suburbs. This is I-10, so this is the Katy Freeway. I believe this is headed inbound potentially. Again, if you have to leave your home for whatever reason here this afternoon, if you're in the Houston area, roads are not as bad as they are in the northern suburbs, but you certainly want to keep it slow. We brought you a live look earlier, just minutes ago, an 18-wheeler on the East Tex Freeway. This was north more so, jackknifed. I mean, hydroplaned. So, and this is a live look there now. You can see here now, it looks like crews are there trying to clear this road and get this 18-wheeler off of the freeway. And at this point, it looks like maybe 2 lanes are open here on the East Tex Freeway. This is again 69 East Tex Freeway at East Mount Houston. Yeah, a couple of lanes are open, but this again is indicative of what you'll experience if you get out here and you drive too fast. If an 18-wheeler can slide and hydroplane, then certainly your vehicle can as well. So keep it slow if you have to leave the house at this point. We also have a live look at another accident. This is the Katy Freeway at John Ralston. This is the East Freeway at John Ralston here. It looks like this could be multiple vehicles involved in this one and several lanes impacted by this as well. So if you have to leave, we're urging you to stay inside. But if it is unavoidable and you have to leave your house this afternoon, because some people still do, keep it safe, keep it slow on the roadways because the roads are wet and any vehicle can at this point hydroplane or even get stuck in flood water for sure. Okay, so we have a couple of other headlines we want to get to if you're watching us here during our extended coverage. Johnson & Johnson has offered to pay nearly $6.5 billion to settle those talc cancer lawsuits. The lawsuits allege the company's baby powder and other talc-based products cause ovarian cancer. Johnson & Johnson says, quote, none of the talc-related claims against it have merit. Ovarian cancer claims make up 99% of the lawsuits filed against the company. If 75% of the lawsuits petitioners approve the deal, J&J says it may file pre-packaged Chapter 11 bankruptcy, and the company says it will pay the settlement over 25 years. Airbnb is stepping up its game by offering guests the chance to live out their pop culture fantasies in real-life settings and sometimes without spending any money. Experiences range from a slumber amidst art masterpieces in Paris to floating off in the iconic house from Disney's Pixar's Up. Airbnb says guests can also get in on intimate concerts with Doja Cat to labs with Kevin Hart in his exclusive lounge. In all, the company says there are 11 unique stays, and they are just the beginning. Coming up, we'll check in with Mike here with much more of our team coverage with weather in your neighborhood. All right, in the meantime, Chipotle is giving away free burritos to thousands of healthcare workers. The food chain will be honoring 100,000 healthcare workers with burrito e-cards, which amount up to more than $1 million in free food. The offer comes just in time for National Nurses Week, which runs from May 6th to the 12th. To claim a free burrito gift card, healthcare professionals can go to healthcare.chipotle.com and enter for a chance to win. Women's basketball star and Houston native Brittany Griner reveals she thought about killing herself when she was detained in a Russian prison. In her first interview about her time in Russia, this was on ABC's 2020, the WNBA player spoke about how extremely difficult her 10 months in prison were after Russian authorities arrested her for having vape cartridges with cannabis oil in her luggage.
What were you thinking at that moment when you felt that and had to bring it out?
Like my whole heart just fell out of my body. Just this overpowering feeling of like whoa, like elevator dropped from underneath my feet. And I'm just like, man, my life is over right here.
But you know, there are those who say, come on, how did you not know that you had cartridges in your luggage? What do you say to the skeptics?
I would say, have you ever forgot your keys in your car, left your car running? Have you ever, where's my glasses? They're on top of your head. Where's my phone? Oh, it's in my pocket. It's just so easy to have a mental lapse.
So despite wanting to take her own life after those first few weeks, Griner decided against it because she didn't think the Russian government would give her body back to her family. The United Methodist Church has overturned a 40-year ban on gay clergy members, marking an historic shift in the church's stance on homosexuality. In 1984, the church banned LGBTQ individuals from becoming members of the clergy, making it a chargeable offense in the church. The ban was overturned in a landslide vote, with many in the church praising the decision. Okay, let's get right back to our weather coverage here. Allison Gargero is standing by with an update.
Thank you so much, Delon. Well, I just want to start with some rainfall totals that we have seen over the last 24 hours. This is coming in from the National Weather Service. And you guessed it, we've been talking about more than a foot of rain in Huntsville. And there you go, 12.51 inches. Willis close behind at just over, or I guess nearly 11 inches of rain. Goodrich at about 9, Spring just over 8 inches in total, and Tomball close to that 8-inch mark. And other spots notable: Splendora about 6.55 inches, Baytown nearly 10 inches of rain, and Groveton about 10.68. So a lot of rain in a short amount of time, and we are seeing rivers that are just overflowing with water that are going to continue downstream. So I do want to take you out to what we are seeing right now across our radar. And what I've been noting over the last, well, let's say hour or so is some clearing to the north, and we're continuing to see that. Actually, the flash flood warning up toward Huntsville, right along I-45 in Walker County, continues until 2. Trinity County, that flash flood warning continues until 1:30, and we are seeing that out toward Conroe as well. But I want to show you what is still to come. We are looking at that heavy rain up toward Brenham into Navasota and making its way towards Cypress. Also, about 100 lightning strikes, which I will say is down from well, hours past, but still something that we're going to be watching for you. Katy, if you live there, you're likely seeing some of that heavy rain overhead. Well, guess what? This is going to be moving off to the east-southeast, likely moving into Sugar Land in about 20 minutes, West Chase in about 21 minutes from now, and it does look like Piney Point Village in about 25 minutes. And if we continue off to the east, a lot of this rain, so you can see that it is inching closer to the coastline. That's good news. That's going to be the first wave of rain that actually kicks out of our area, but you can see a lot more is on the way. So no, we are not out of the clear yet for this rain. I'd say another few hours until everything is going to be completely dry. But that river flooding is still something that is very imperative that you are keeping tabs on if you live near the river, especially the Trinity River, the East Fork, as well as, San Jacinto River, rather, at the East Fork as well as the West Fork. We're going to have all those updates for you, so make sure you stick with us here at Fox 26 for the latest.
All right, Allison, thanks a lot. A couple of other headlines here. As pro-Palestinian protests ramp up at college campuses across the country, President Biden breaks his silence on the matter. This morning, he maintained the importance of the right of free speech in his view, but said the rule of law has to be upheld.
Convictions. In America, we respect the right and protect the right for them to express that. But it doesn't mean anything goes. It needs to be done without violence, without destruction, without hate, and within the law.
Meantime, after a tense standoff overnight, police entered an encampment at UCLA. This all comes as more tents pop up on campuses all across the country. Fox News correspondent CB Cotton is outside NYU with more.
Flashbangs heard across UCLA's campus Thursday morning as police tore down an encampment after a tense standoff overnight. Officers in riot gear removed barricades made of plywood and metal fences to begin making arrests.
Civil disobedience is not constitutionally protected free speech, and obviously uncivil disobedience, committing crimes, trespass, violence, destruction, represents criminal violations.
Police had been building up their presence on campus after dueling groups erupted into violent protests on Tuesday. Hundreds of protesters inside the encampment refused police orders to leave, while just outside, another crowd gathered and joined in on the pro-Palestinian chants. Some say they believe a number of the protesters are not students.
I saw 3 buses
on the first day of the encampment. I don't know where they came from. Some of them looked like they were in their 40s or 30s.
Here in New York, students at NYU have been threatened with suspension after setting up another encampment. On Thursday morning, a number of tents as well as food and blankets remained on campus. The day before, on Wednesday, NYPD officers cleared more tents set up by protesters at Fordham University. The school's president says more than a dozen people there were arrested.
I think we have the right to speak out against genocide. I don't think that the police should be involved like this.
In just 2 weeks, more than 1,000 protesters have been arrested across the country. In New York, CB Cotton, Fox News.
The photojournalist who was arrested while covering last week's protest at UT Austin is actually now facing new criminal charges. Carlos Sanchez, he works for our sister station in Austin, Fox 7. He is now facing misdemeanor counts of assault and interference with public duties. Texas DPS claims Sanchez lunged at a trooper and hit him in the head and neck with his camera. Sanchez's lawyer tells the Austin American-Statesman the contact was not intentional. All right, so keep it right here. Our storm alert day and the weather forecast continues in all of our team coverage. We also have some more news. The summer movie season is officially here, and Ryan Gosling and Emily Blunt are teaming up for the action-packed Fall Guy. They talk about this when we come back. Ryan Gosling.